going on? I am Nando.
And I'm TJ.
And I'm Diggins. It's not really a lot of funny voices in this one.
And this is mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo! Are you kidding me? There's so many funny voices in this one. They're just all in the first 20 minutes. Hey there, Sonny. You want to come on the elevator with me? Like,
All right, fair
oh, gee
point.
whiz, mister. You got that little kid.
Mhm.
So many good voices. But yeah, they're all that ones.
Yeah, all the people from the 50s who inexplicably found themselves in the late 60s.
Whatever
Yeah.
they did, you know,
Just-
it was just, where does this movie take place? Do we know?
I think it's right, just the 50s, right? You know.
Well,
Kinda.
but like what city or state or whatever? That's
See, I
like,
thought it was like, well, it's New. No, she's from.
I don't think it's in church.
So Iris lives in New Jersey.
Does she really?
Did you look at the little when what's her face when Steffi finds the card with the little return address? And I want to talk about this a bit later. It might be on a certain device or whatever. But
Interesting.
a certain New Jersey. But that doesn't mean that's where the Skyview was, right? She could have been like, no one can. I'll never die in New Jersey.
That's the thing, and I guess we'll talk about it more. But I do think, based on the driving distance from things to things, it has to be kind of close.
Yeah, so if her address is in New Jersey, then they're all either like in New Jersey or New York or Pennsylvania, all in this general area.
Yeah,
Right.
and I can see us trying to build a sky view,
Oh, fuck
and
yeah.
then it falling over. You know,
Every New
that's like
Jersey.
something we do. Honestly, there's a couple of things in that scene that I don't fully buy in New Jersey, like that kid stopping, doing anything. I feel like that kid would start beating up the security guard. And he's like, stop taking things out of the thing. Anyway,
Just go
we'll get to it.
fucking
We don't want
nuts.
to spoil any of the great bits in this
Oh,
movie.
I know.
But
Heaven
before
forbid.
that, DJ and Diggins, we got to talk about the big news of the week.
Oh, my
I'm going in cold on this one. Haven't read the story even a little bit. They're making a Skibidi toilet movie, you guys.
Fuck.
Now, I wanted to see, we're all 30-year-old men, 30 plus, whatever. Do any of you guys have any idea what this is? I really don't.
I've
Like,
seen the
so-
video and it confuses me.
I was
Oh,
gonna say,
okay.
my understanding of Skibidi Toilet is that it's literally a video made in Gary's mod of a
Yes.
guy whose like head comes out of a toilet and says like Skibidi, Skibidoo,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Okay.
that's it.
But then, so I believe that. I think you're right about that. But then I feel like I have seen at like the store toys of Skibidi Toilet that feature other stuff, like a guy with a camera for a head or something. That seems to also, maybe this lore has expanded.
Yeah,
But-
I think the thing I'm saying is the first thing, and
That's
then
the original. Okay.
when it got popular, then the person made more. They expanded the universe.
Yeah. Also, were they at some point sued because it was made by the Gary's Mod thing or something?
Well, it just uses Gary's mod assets. Like
There was
the person didn't make the models.
right. Then yeah, I feel like there was a point where they were going to make a movie and then they weren't able to because of that. But apparently now they are. Michael Bay's making it. Maybe Who knows?
Michael
This might fall
Bay?
through.
What? How
Yeah,
many explosions can you
ambulance.
have?
I mean, probably the guy exploding out of the toilet's a pretty big.
I feel like
explosion.
a thing based on an internet meme that of this sort of type. You could have an explosion randomly at any point, and it would just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I guess that's what's happening here.
That's true. Shit.
So, what do we think this movie is then? Is it the story of how that guy got in the toilet?
The origins of Skibidi Toilet. Yeah.
Is it gonna be
he's
like
not even gonna
Barbie
be
where
in
he
the
comes
fucking
to the
toilet
real
till
world?
the end of the movie, is he?
Yeah, or that. Yeah, I'm gonna go get in the toilet. He's gonna like see a toilet halfway through the movie, go, "Huh," and then walk by it, and then later.
Oh, we're cooked, boys. We're cooked.
Yeah, this is bad.
I wasn't
It'd be
sure
like
when the
that
end
movie.
times would be, but they're now.
Did you So you said you've seen the Skibidi toilet thing,
Mm-hmm.
like the video of it. What Skibidi part? Where does that come in? I get toilet, but like Skibidi, is he like scatting or what? You know, why does he say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Jack Black gonna play him or something? He loves to do that.
Ooh, that's
He
spicy.
just made the Minecraft
mean-
movie, made bazillions of dollars.
I feel like this is going to be on par with the Minecraft movie in terms of people looking at it and being like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, but then when they see the
being wrong,
69ing in it,
they were wrong.
yeah,
They were so wrong.
Man
no,
Sandwich.
those people were quite right. That movie, not good.
Man Sandwich was cool.
But made money, which I think we now know means you were objectively good. If you made money,
that's right.
You were good.
And they almost made it good when they had Matt Berry be in it, but then they fucked it up and instead it was not him. So that would have been even better.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll be in it. Could he be the Skibidi toilet guy? That'd be kind of cool. Maybe. Probably not, though. DJ still doesn't know who it is. Yeah, we'll show you like a clip of him or something.
I get, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Skibidi Toilet also, to be fair, it is like a brand. Like I'm saying, if you guys gone to like a Target or a Walmart or whatever and seen just like the aisle of toys that is like, I don't know, 10% Marvel, 10% DC, 10% Transformers, and 10% Skibidi Toilet, like,
I
it's
can't
there.
being serious. Are you being serious?
No, it's real. Yeah, for sure. I didn't want to look it up now because I feel like that would be cheating of like remembering things about it. But there's lots of, and I part of me thinks it's for adults more than kids to buy their kids because it's like your grandma going to the mall trying to buy something for your son. You're like, what is he like? Oh, that Skibidi Toilet. I've heard of that before. Yeah, he keeps talking about that. But like, I don't think it's one of those things. It's kind of like Fortnite where like, I don't think people want toys of the Fortnite characters in their house. Like that doesn't track. They want V-Bucks. Even if Darth Vader won't let them have them or whatever.
Or oh my God, V Friends. They want all their V Friends.
Or V Friends. Yeah, well, they want them, but
go.
they can't have them. They're too big. They're too cool.
Are they still around? Are V Friends still kicking?
I mean, I would have to assume they probably.
I mean, considering like all NFTs are dead, I have to imagine no.
No, because they're probably right up there with Pal World. They're probably getting sued by Nintendo because they're going to be the next Pokemon.
It's true.
And it's going to be a whole theme park and stuff. And, Pal World can't do it. How could they? Because they said we're going to be the next Pokemon. And that's pretty bad in court, even in America. The Japan court, you get fucked. But in America court, you also probably get fucked for that. What was I going to say? Something reminded me. Oh, V-Bucks. Did you guys see the Darth Vader in Fortnite now?
Is that news? Hasn't he been in there forever?
Well, DJ, there's something new about him now.
No. Yeah, this month or Battle Pass or whatever is a Star Wars themed thing. So there's all kinds of like new characters and new models of characters, whatever.
Do I get to play as the worst man in the galaxy?
No, none that I've seen so far. No Andor crossover whatsoever, which is a real shame.
That's for the best, but
no. Well, I mean, kind of, but also it would be kind of fun to be him, or I don't know who else would it be fun to be from that show? Like Mon Mothma is like guy with the silver suit running around,
her shitty husband.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Or him, the shitty daughter. All those guys, you could have, but you don't have them yet. It's really just like characters. Well, it's from the original trilogy, then it's also new guys and old guys too from like the prequel trilogy because Jar Jar's in there now, and there is a Darth Jar Jar costume somewhere. But anyway, that all is new. Like they've expanded. I do think like Darth Vader was probably in there before, but no, DJ. What they've done now is you can fight Darth Vader, I believe, which you can do. Like there's bosses all over, sure. And then you can recruit him to your team. It seems like, and then you can talk to him in, I'm assuming English, maybe other languages too, but like through your microphone, and then he talks back to you using AI and James Earl Jones' voice, and he'll talk about anything except for V-Bucks. He can't talk about that. And he can't say curse words, but you can kind of trick him.
Oh, you can get him to say curse words. Easy.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing. If you know the codes, man.
Yeah. If you know how to trick Darth Vader. If you're a big Star Wars fan, you know what will make him say fuck even if he's not supposed to. I mean, I feel like they don't curse a lot in Star Wars, besides like stuff like Nerf Herder. Although I do remember recently, one of the episodes of Andor I watched, somebody says shit to somebody else. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. That's illegal, sir. Like, that's like having buttons. You don't do that here. But apparently they do.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, yeah. So James Earl Jones' family apparently signed off on this. It even seemed like maybe while he was alive, he had signed off on this to some extent. Although, how could he possibly?
Yeah, he wouldn't,
like,
know what
he wouldn't know what it is, right? Like, he's a super old guy. But yeah, it's kind of funny, kind of awful, kind of just weird.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of impressive, honestly. Like, as like a thing, it's like, well, it sounds like, I mean, he does talk to you about, your skins and stuff.
I mean, it's funny that people can break their intent with it so easily to make him say curse words and slurs.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that this exists, and this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
Even death cannot free you from the grinding, crushing gears of capitalism.
Nor should it.
Yeah.
Where do you get off thinking you're going to get away from it? Why are you so special?
And also, Fortnite is better than capitalism. It like transcends capitalism because it's so like it's able to break the usual rules that these companies have of like, Darth Vader can't hold a red lightsaber or whatever. Now it's like Darth Vader can usually hold a red lightsaber, but like Darth Vader doesn't use blue lightsabers. You know how like companies have those things? I'm trying to think of a good example of one where it'd be like, Optimus Prime can never pick up a gun or something. That also wouldn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Mickey Mouse can't pick up a gun or whatever. They could just do that in Fortnite because it's like, fuck it, Fortnite lets you do whatever. You just have all the guns and
don't give him ideas for Mickey Mouse with a gun, because now I feel like that's what's coming.
I mean, we should do it ourselves now that he's in a public domain, just to a small extent.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we all know that Mickey Mouse in private frequently holds a gun when he's executing employees who tried to unionize.
Oh, get him.
Yeah. Also, I'm trying to think in public, has Mickey Mouse ever used a gun?
How maybe in like really old cartoons.
Right?
There's no way. Now I gotta Google this.
Would Mickey Mouse use a gun to kill Hitler? Because like Donald Duck was in that Hitler cartoon in the olden days. Could Mickey Mouse like break the rules of Disney to be like, nah, I gotta do it?
Oh yeah, no, he's held a shotgun before.
Yeah, shotguns are all over cartoons now that I think about it.
Okay.
Would Mickey Mouse use a shotgun to kill Hitler?
I mean, I'm sure he would. I think Mickey Mouse is a good guy. Would Goofy use a shotgun to kill Hitler? I think he'd try, but it would be backwards or something.
Yeah.
I think what happened would be Goofy would be a stormtrooper, part of the SS, and Hitler would order him to fire, and he would like try to do it, but he would screw it up in a comical way where like the shotgun barrel got like bent sideways, and he would blow Hitler's brains out by accident.
Mm-hmm. So that's the word on that. But yeah, Fortnite's pretty cool. You guys should play it. Sabrina Carpenter's in it now. Darth Vader's yelling at you about whatever you want. It's probably, what would it take, DJ? What random obscure thing?
Jesus Christ.
What's your favorite thing that if it showed up in Fortnite, you'd be like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
I mean, and obviously my boy Gustav from Expedition 33, they put him in there. I'm all in.
Matter of time. I'm sure they're getting those guys out.
Yeah, those assets are like getting ready to go.
Without a doubt. They got all that stuff. They love video games, and also like, I know this isn't anime, but like anime-y stuff. Like if you want to, what's that one that I don't understand at all? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like that shit's all over, like that stuff. So yeah, I think the Obscura whatever guys will be there soon.
This is an anime. It's made by a French studio. It's not loved by weeaboos. It's loved by weeaboos.
Ah, weeaboos. That's a good one. What about you, Diggins? Who needs to show up in Fortnite for you to finally join in? Remember, it can be a real person too. Sometimes they get real guys.
Timothy McVeigh.
Oh,
petty play.
That would be. There's lots of destruction in Fortnite. It's not, outside of the realm of possibilities. I think they've, you probably got a better chance of like a Ninja Turtle or something. But eventually, maybe they'll run out of them and then do Timothy McVeigh and all the rest of the, minor terrorists of American history or whatever you want to call them.
At that point,
what that season would be.
It would, it just would have been so far gone that I'd be like, You know what? Sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's true. I bet Darth Vader would have bad things to say about him. Yeah.
I think they would get along great.
What was Timothy McVeigh's whole deal?
He. This is a good question. That thing that none of us were really around for.
Come on,
Yeah.
time to Google Timothy McVeigh. Let me get on some lists. He was the Oklahoma City bomber. Come on,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I know that. But like, why did he do it? What's his manifesto? Would it align with Darth Vader's or not? Would he be against the Empire? Was he kind of a conspiracy kook who would be like, oh yeah, there's wizards? Because then he loved that.
I'm not Googling his manifesto. Don't.
Diggins, what's the word?
I gotta see it.
He was basically a conspiracy theorist. Anti-government beliefs, hated the. So here's a whiplash. He hated the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Oh,
remember
when they were all over South Park? Had to do a whole thing. Good times.
Well, then I think Timothy McVeigh would be anti-Darth Vader. Then that's my guess. An authoritarian at anything. I don't think he'd like. Although I don't think he would know who Darth Vader is. I'm really curious about that, and that's one thing I wanted more of at Andor. Characters talking about Darth Vader.
Hold on, guys.
What's up?
Also a white supremacist.
Okay,
we're bringing him back.
Never
baby.
mind. Yeah. He would probably like Darth Vader until he found out he's voiced by a black man some of the time. He wouldn't really love that.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker.
Also, now that I think about it, he was alive during the time of Star Wars. Was he a fan of the stuff? You know, that's weird that like historical figures now can have opinion. Like the Pope probably has a favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
Probably.
It's probably one of the originals because he seems kind of on the level. It'd be weird
Also,
if we got a Pope who was like,
he wasn't a kid
what's
when
the
the other
best?
ones came out.
That's true. Now, you guys, speaking of kids, we got to talk about a movie that features some kids.
That's true.
It's got quite a few kids in it. And it is Final Destination Bloodlines. Bloodline or Bloodlines?
Bloodlines.
I
think that makes sense. Yeah, I'll look it up because I'm the IMDb's man this week. Not because of last week. Right? Yeah, so it's Bloodlines, correct. So it is plural. It's the 6th Final Destination movie. It's, another kind of one that could be the last one, but probably won't unless it made money. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. It's directed by some guys. I don't know, Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein. I don't know who those guys are. One of them directed the Kim Possible movie, the live action one. So there's that.
Had one of those?
That one of them directed the Kim Possible movie as well. So pretty good. Yeah, it was a DCOM. It's weird. But those guys did it. They made it. It stars a bunch of people that you've probably never seen in anything before, as is usual with these.
Of course, except for one
Caitlin's guy. Right, except for one guy. And then one other person, if you're like a sicko like me, who watches all the superhero stuff, then you're like, oh yeah, she's from that. But yeah, Caitlin Santa Wana is the main person, Stephanie. And then there's a bunch of family members. Tony Todd is in there, the man from The Candyman and all the rest of these. And then Breck Bassinger, the star girl on the DC thing, plays 60s Iris. That's the only other person in this cast that I recognize. But yeah. But you guys, Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh my gosh.
We got to talk about the IMDb B as in spelling bee.
Obviously.
Yeah. And this is a big one, and like kind of an interesting one, because of how the summary for this one happens. Because and here's an important part of it, because it comes from the like you ever done that thing where you hold that seashell up to your ears and you listen to the ocean and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, what people don't know is that works with pretty much everything if you have the right mindset, like if you're a winner and you believe in yourself. You can pick up anything and listen to a summary of that thing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because it's the sound of the blood in your head. So like anything can make that echoing noise if you just sort of put over your ear.
That's a conspiracy that some people believe that, or like that's what they put out there to trick you into thinking that you actually can't listen to the sea and talk to it. And you have to understand its language, and that whole bit's complicated. But what actually happens is these people with this wonderful, that have opened their brains up to the possibility that you can hear everything talking to you at all times. What they do every week when a new movie comes out is they pick up the reel of film and they put it to their ears and they listen to what it sounds like when they spin it around. And then they translate that into a summary for the thing. So sometimes when a movie's been like cut up a bunch, like Aquaman or whatever, the summary's bad. But sometimes when the movie is good, the summary's good.
Because they end up listening to one section of film that was filmed when the movie was still about his wedding or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it ends up telling them about that.
So it's not a good. Yeah, it's bad. But this one, I would say this one's pretty good.
Okay.
I think this is solid. It's I really don't think there's too many hints I can give that will be that will even matter. So who goes first?
It's me.
Well, it's your choice.
Choose. Yeah.
Oh,
would you like to go first or second?
It's Diggins. Yeah, Diggins is gonna go first.
All right, Diggins.
What you got? Boy. Okay. When looking into her recurring nightmares, college student Stephanie Reyes discovers that a narrowly averted disaster from 50 years ago has put her family on death's hit list.
Okay. DJ?
Okay. After a college student, Stephanie, we'll go Stephanie. After college student Stephanie, a college student Stephanie, okay, blah, extra sketch, got it. After college student Stephanie becomes plagued by a recurring nightmare, about her grandmother, about a woman dying in a gruesome death, she must reconnect with her grandmother, Iris, and learns about how her about a terrible secret that death is coming for her family's bloodlines.
Oh, that's the name of the movie.
Okay. I think you both did pretty much equal. I think certain ones of you probably had like there were words that were slightly better and there was the tone of it, but honestly I don't think there was that much. I don't think there's that much distance between you guys. But what I want to do for this, and I think this will work. Yes. Okay. All right. I have a list. Okay, this is fun. And I don't want to say this spoils the movie in any way because none of it's specific. We're not going to get into specifics about it. But I do think this movie, this Final Destination movie, and all the rest of them, but like the ones that I've seen recently at least, tend to feature a lot of music, a lot of needle drops that, for reasons that are usually related to the plot, have some sort of foreboding whatever. I have a list, I believe, of all of the songs in Final Destination Bloodlines specifically. I remember most of these. So all I want you to do, one by one, is just tell me the name of a song that comes up in this movie. You don't have to tell me who recorded it or whatever, although that would help, be nice. But I think you could probably we'll see how this goes. There's quite a few, and let's see who goes first. DJ, do you want to go first, or should Diggins go first?
Let who has the advantage? I guess if Diggins goes first, then he could take an easy one. So I will go first.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm gamifying this right. All right. First one I got Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash.
Correct. That is in there.
Well, Nando has decided that I lose this week.
What?
Because I don't know anything about music. And I don't remember any. I know that there were needle drops
out of your mind.
I don't remember a single one.
Stop.
Not
it.
even.
Can I help you with one?
Yeah, I feel like, because I don't even think DJ said the obvious one. I thought the obvious one was the next one on this list.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself now, but like, come on.
Oh, Shout.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Correct. Shout, written by the way, I didn't say this for, well, you said although interesting enough, Ring of Fire, written by June Carter Cash, and Merle Kilgore, performed by Johnny Cash. Yeah, no, you didn't write it.
Fine, whatever.
Shout was written by Kelly Isley, the Isley brothers, I guess, performed by other people. All right. So you have another one, DJ?
I do. I actually remember a lot of the needle drops in this one, so maybe this is the week I win. So sorry, Diggins, but this is one of my favorite. If we remember our lovely barbecue scene, we get "Escape," the Pina Colada song.
That's right. The Pina Colada song is in Escape. I believe this was in most of the trailers too. I think this.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I kind of remember that. So that is helpful. Diggins, you have any other songs?
I could remember Shout because it was important to the plot.
It was important.
Everything else was just the music that was playing in a scene, and so immediately, I think there's
one other important song on this list that I wouldn't be shocked if you remembered it. All the rest of these, I'm like, these would maybe. Some of the rest of them are just like, because a lot of them are the irony of Ring of Fire,
right?
The other, but like, yeah, it's not plot important. Whereas this other one, I'm like, this was somewhat plot important.
I mean, I know in the tattoo parlor scene, he's listening to like a sad song that's like, if you were, I might as well be dead if you were dead. I'm sad if you're gone. I don't want to live without you. But I don't remember exactly what song it is.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to you, Dickens, because that song is called "Without You," and I think that is more than enough for me. DJ.
So I think this one was in the Skyview death scene when the valet guys are kind of like snapping their fingers. I think we get raindrops keep falling on my head.
That's right. Yeah. Because it is ironic, because then more things fall. Yes. That's a classic Final Destination song. Diggins, you got anything else? Honestly, neither of you guys got the one that I thought was the easiest one in the movie.
I think Shout's the easiest one, because again, it's important
that's fair.
To the movie.
After Shout, there was another one that I was like, that one's pretty, but none of you guys got it.
I think I remember.
You have gotten a lot of them, though, to be fair. About half of them so far.
I mean, could you tell me what scene it's in? I probably still won't remember the song.
Yeah, you probably still won't remember the song. And I think that's kind of a giveaway. Just assume, I would say a lot of these songs, like these scenes, have music. So
the only one I remember is an irony song. And I don't know if this is the plot important when you're thinking about Nando, but I think
it probably is.
Okay.
Well, we might as well say it, DJ, or else we'll be here all night while I try to remember what songs are.
Is it is it in the RV, or I forget at what point, but we get the "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, feel a little
so
better."
You're right and you're wrong, but right enough to win. That song is there. It's the song the Garbage Man is listening to,
right,
on his iPod.
That's right. That's right.
I guess that is sort of plot important, but
I would say that one's plot important.
What song it isn't plot important. The fact that Shout involves a lot of stomping is important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that Stronger is a banger is somewhat important. You know, like if it stunk, then maybe he'd take his little headphones off. But yeah. So I'm gonna say DJ wins with the music thing, and also because none of these actors, have humongous things. It's really hard to come up with any guesses or games based on that. There was one I was toying with the Tony Todd game, but honestly, I can't even Like, what do you guys know him for more than like 4 things? You know, like,
unfortunately, yeah, that might be the Diggins wins game. I don't know, or the stalemate game. We just stare at each other for 20 minutes.
I know him from this and Candyman. That's pretty much it.
so he has a lot of like, he's done a lot of voice work, and like a lot of things we have seen, or enjoyed. I would say seen might not be the right word, but he just they bring him in. They used to bring him in, R.I.P. for a lot of characters with scary voices. So, for instance, he voiced Darkseid in the Justice League, one of the Justice League cartoons.
Cool. Cool.
He voiced Zoom, the evil Flash, in the 2nd season of The Flash before it turned out to be a white guy, classic Darth Vader. And then, most famously, he voiced Venom in the new Spider-Man game. He did the, evil Venom-y voice. But yeah, I didn't think there would be too much else there. Apparently, he's also in where was that? The Rock. I can't remember where. Yeah. Who is he in The Rock? Just one of the guys.
I think he's one of the military dudes, like that's taken over Alcatraz.
That's cool. Good for him. But anyway, yeah. So that was my only other guess for a game. Couldn't come up with it because I didn't think it was that interesting. But DJ, I'm going to say you win. I'll say the rest of the songs. In the order that they appear. Bad Moon Rising is the first song. I believe that's a song on the radio in the car by John Fogerty.
Yeah,
yep. Okay. Ring of Fire. Right. Another song called Fallen by. I think this is the song that plays before Shout because Shout is not playing the whole time.
Right.
In the lounge. I think this is the other song that's playing. Then you got Shout, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. A song called Cage Mansion. I don't know what this one is. But then Escape, like DJ said. Enter the Grave is the hard metal, like heavy metal song that he originally plays.
Oh, okay.
Without You, like you said, Diggins, Stronger, and then Spirit in the Sky. I can't remember when, but I imagine this is when they're in the RV or something like that. Driving.
That's what I confuse. That's not the Kelly Clarkson. That's she. I think it's like. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but she like the thing almost happens, and then it's that guitar.
Yes.
Bow, 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 bow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But DJ, I'm gonna say you won the IMDb Beers and Spelling Bee this week for that.
Hooray!
So, as the winner, DJ, would you like to let us know what you thought of Final Destination Bloodlines?
Yeah, man. I love this movie. It's funny. So, me having only watched 2 of these. 3, which we did last week, in this one, the juxtaposition is so interesting because I will get into it in like my spoiler free review, and it's hard for me. I don't want to say like they broke tropes or anything, right? Because I don't know like what happened in the other ones, but something I found interesting was like in Final Destination 3. Basically, up until the end, like everyone who dies like deserved it because they're like spitting in death's face, right? But like this one had like a bit more nuance to it, where like there were people who were dying. I'm like, oh no, right? Like you are a concerned individual about the fate that may befall you, and yet you're fucked, bro. And like that sucks, and it's sad, but it's like that's how it works. And it's like not like profound, but I found it interesting that like some of the takeaway of this movie was like, you don't know how much time you got left, so enjoy every moment of it. And like, talking about like, oh, are we just going to live the rest of our lives in like a bunker where we could not die? But is that really living? I'm like, what? You trying to say something? Final Destination Bloodlines? You trying to say something? I know we don't do Is It Woke anymore, but there might be something there. But yeah, I don't know. Like it was a very enjoyable experience. It's very silly. This movie is like leaning into full comedy at some point, like this very early on. So again, this feels spoiler free, but there's just a woman who is on fire running through the Skyview, and it's just like, oh, fucking peak cinema. And it feels like we've gotten somewhere with these. So it's a very enjoyable experience. I am not.
Do you know what's interesting about the firewoman, DJ?
What's interesting about the firewoman?
Things you know?
No.
That's the oldest stunt person ever set on fire in a movie.
Wow, good for
It's
her.
the record. Yeah, 70
for
something.
her.
I want to say 76.
That's
yeah.
fucking cool.
She should just
So-
she should get that stunt Oscar that they're gonna make maybe.
She should. Yeah, fuck
Give
it.
her the inaugural one.
As long as Tom Cruise doesn't get it, and it's like something from Final Destination, that'd be pretty funny to me.
That would be funny. He'd be so fucking mad. Yeah.
He'd be so mad, but also he'd be
that.
so excited because that's his face. It's just like, haha. And I'd love to see him, smile through it.
Yeah.
But
So anyway, I am not a horror guy. I was upset by the amount of like stupid horror trailers I had to sit through at the beginning of this movie because they're like, "Oh, it's a horror movie, so we're gonna give you all the horror movies about scary doll and scary whatever." I'm like, I don't want any of this because Final Destination Bloodlines is not a horror movie. It's a fun romp, and it's like a thriller. Maybe there's like a couple jump scares, but like it happens and you're like, "That's awesome," right? Like I'm not mad about it. Like I'm still kind of mad about that one jump scare in oh my god, that movie we did. Not
Imaginary.
More
Night
specific.
Swim.
Sinners.
Sinners. Thank you.
Oh, Sinners. Yeah, the
I was
Sinners
about to
one.
say Strangers. It's not Strangers.
No.
It's Sinners.
The characters in the Strangers movies do commit quite a few sins. So I can understand why
Yeah, that's
you
true.
watch all your movies and you're like, this is a movie about sinners.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, all this to say, I had a great time. I would absolutely recommend go see it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX and it was great. So definitely a very enjoyable experience. Diggins, what did you think of Final Destination Bloodlines?
So when it came to Final Destination 3, I said like I agreed with what you guys were saying and said it's a well-made version of what it's trying to be, but I just wasn't that into it because I found it a little mean-spirited and not really to my taste. This one has gone so far down that path to cartoonish extremes that I found it pretty fun. Because like this is a movie about a group of people who live in a cartoon universe, like literally Looney Tunes, and have figured that out. But they're not cartoons. Like a piano falls on them, they die. And so they have to learn how to tell when something funny is about to happen so that they can avoid being killed by a gag.
Mm.
And that's really good. That's a great premise for a movie, and I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, I mean, it's hit that point. I feel all kind of like horror franchises hit this point where you get so like the first ones are like kind of grounded and like trying to be scary, and then you have to keep one-upping yourself to the point where by the time you get to some number, it's different for everyone. It's just full-on comedy. Like, no one's even pretending they're scared of these anymore. They're coming to laugh. And I think this is, I mean, if it hadn't already hit that, because I haven't watched all of them, this is definitely way on the far end of that for this series.
I would say 3 is where the horror starts to fade into comedy. But I wouldn't say it's maybe until 4 or 5 where I would say the comedy fully overtakes the horror. There are definitely a lot of moments in 5 that I'm remembering specifically where I'm like, that is almost all comedy.
I don't want to interrupt Diggins that much, but I do have a question for Nando. Is because in this movie something I liked, I forgot to mention, they kind of fuck with you a little bit where it's like, someone's gonna die, someone's gonna die, oh, maybe not. Is that new to this one, or did that start earlier?
They've always had some kind of fake outs and like red herrings. A lot of the times it's more like I mean, even in 3, right? Do you mean like full scenes that turn out to not have been a death, or are you talking about, because like 3 has the bits where like you think something kills them and then they're like, never mind, I'm good, and then something else kills them later. So like,
I guess the barbecue scene does it the most in this movie, right? Like really,
all ends up mattering.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. That's always how they all
good.
end up, is like, and I think the other one of those, which I say is kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
Perhaps the only one that takes place inside a room. Yeah, the only one that takes place inside fully. That one I feel like is the perfect amount of like a thing gets set up, You think it's going to be a thing. It's not that thing. A whole bunch of shit happens, and then, hey, it's that thing again to get us.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. It's definitely not characteristic of all of them, but I think there's a little bit of it in most of the movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially when the more characters know about it, the more it has to be that, right? Because like in like 2, the characters are still kind of figuring out what a final destination is. But like by 3 or 4, characters are warning other characters, like, you can't get in final destination situations. So then they have to like navigate that. And that's where the red herrings start to be fun. I will say this movie has one that's insane considering, I'll talk about it, but like, it just, yeah, it's complicated, but like, yeah, one was very surprising to me.
Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much what I think of it. It's a really silly, fun movie. And there's like one bit of it that I still felt like was a little mean-spirited, but I understand that's kind of what these things are. Nando, what did you think of Final Destination Bloodlines?
So as the Final Destination fan in this room, and in this podcast,
in this room
definitely
that we all recorded together.
Yeah, in the single room. And I've seen all of them, and also I have like, you know, this. I share what I'd say are the majority opinions on these, which is that 3 is really good, 5 is underrated, 1 and 2 are pretty solid, and 4 is not that great, but has its moments. And I think the new majority opinion is that, and which I do agree with, is this is by far the best one they've ever made. I think it's interesting because 5, while not the same way this is a kind of finale to the series, does attempt to tie a lot of the rest of these things together in a way that makes 5 like, okay, we're done. The ending specifically is very like, we never need to make more of these. Like they could, and obviously none of the story, like the story in 3, you're never like, oh, I wonder how this is going to continue. But 5 felt like the, you know, potentially like the Avengers Endgame of these. And then so the fact that they even made this is kind of crazy. And then the fact that it's so much long, like it, I don't know, a decade and a half since the last one, and it still manages to be pretty good is pretty crazy. But it does seem like one thing that's, I do think there's the 2 things we kind of hit on that make it really, you know, incredible. One, sometimes family members are involved, but you never have a scene this early in the movie where everybody sits down and goes, it's Final Destinationing us. Here's the order it's going to Final Destination us, and here's how we have to deal with it. 2 kind of has that, actually, to be fair, but it's not the same. It doesn't work as well. And that sets the expectations in a way that I think is very fun. And also, yeah, like because they're the family, you're kind of bummed out about it. I do think this movie has an insane, like the consequences of this movie are incredible for 2 characters. Like what do you even do? But we'll talk about it. The other thing I think is great is, like Diggins is saying, it is a cartoon. They have a lot of the staples of like cartoons, like we're saying, like pianos falling on people's heads and stuff. But also like, because the characters are able to plot out the things in their heads, and like there's all kinds of crazy shots, and this one has them, but in a way that the other ones also do, but because of how aware the characters are, it's even funnier, where they're just like looking at like the wind or like a door or something, like it's a guy, and then it's just, that part of it is really silly. Yeah, like most of these, I think all the actors are fine. I don't think anyone's doing a particularly great job, but they're all doing a completely serviceable job. It is insane that this is the last movie Tony Todd ever did. I mean, right? I don't know how it works, if it's like they release some sort of cartoon after this or whatever. Like, you know, sometimes I feel like it's with actors who do a lot of work, it's like this is their last role, and then a year later it's like, well, no, actually this is the last role that's gonna come out, and then like a year after that it's like, well, they did make this and it kind of got delayed, but either way, this is like his last big role. And also he wrote the bits that he says in the movie, more or less, which is crazy.
The
like,
last bit after he's like well, I won't spoil it. After he's like, blah, 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 he like turns around before he leaves the scene, and all of that stuff he improvised.
So like there's stuff like that I do think is just like a once in a generation kind of like weird everything coming together perfectly. So it's almost like the anti-Final Destination when you really think about it. Because Final Destination is the Rube Goldberg machine of evil, but this was the Rube Goldberg machine of like everything working out in a way that like just made this movie front to back great. It's pretty much it. I think it's got gore, but because it's so silly, none of it really affected me in a way that was like, that's gross, but I was the only one, and all the rest of it was mostly fun. So I wouldn't say even for like anti-horror fans, you're not gonna like this, but I'm not shocked that this one has like a way higher Rotten Tomato score than any of the rest of these. And yeah, my theater loved it. It'll probably go down as like one of my top 5 for the year, just because it's a movie like that knows exactly what it is and is just doing it all as well as can possibly be done.
Damn.
And you know what? Also, it gets at the stupid lore of all these. Like, I like a movie like this that tries to explain some of this, knowing that like it's not important. Like, it's not like the James Bond movies where they're like, ooh, actually, all the other James Bond movies were a prequel to this one because Avengers was popular and we want to have our new one be an Avengers. Which is, I'd say, what Spectre is. With this one, they were just kind of like, the characters by now, someone would have to have figured this out. And, you know, all of it happened in the same universe in a way that I think is kind of fun. But we'll get to it.
Didn't some of the previous ones already kind of do that?
Yeah, and like a lot of the times, yeah, like even in 3, the characters say like there have been weird occurrences where
9/11, Lincoln.
Well, besides 9/11, but yeah, there's also that. But I would say this one is one of the first ones where a character just says like, all right, here's the ways you can get out of this, and here's kind of the strategies other people have employed to, and these don't work and these work and whatever. As explicitly as kind of matter of factly, because yeah, usually the characters kind of have to make up all of the own like the rules themselves as the movie goes, and then sometimes he'll talk to someone who will be like, "Oh, it's kind of this." But yeah, movie's great. But then DJ, as the winner, you don't have to do this. Diggins has to do this. I was so ready. Because Diggins, yeah, you have to recap the events of Final Destination Bloodlines to us. Are you ready to do that?
I am incredibly prepared to do that, Nando. So the movie starts with a nice couple in the late 60s, but they're dressed like it's the 50s, going to a nice dinner. Speaking of going to a nice dinner, actually, though, this reminds me of an episode of my favorite sitcom, Joey.
Oh,
you watched Joey?
Yeah, that I just happened to watch recently. Joey and the Valentine.
Oh, well, you got to get your Valentine's Day stuff in.
Yeah, it's so topical now.
Mid-May. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. What'd you think of it?
It is a good one.
I mean, it was fine. It's funny that one of the 3 plot lines, one of them doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
The Michael one just has like a first beat and a second beat, and then it's done.
That's true.
There's no more.
It's just like Michael turned into a girl. Isn't that funny?
What's like, the third plot line? That's what
Gina, Alex. Hey, it's awkward. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was weird.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, guys. Why don't I just describe what happens in this episode of Joey?
Please.
Right, for people that haven't seen it.
Yeah. Which I can't imagine as many people, but still.
No.
It's all over the place. Everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm. So Jennifer Coolidge is leading Joey through a photo shoot for his upcoming spread in People magazine.
Oh.
Wowie.
Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. I feel like Jennifer Coolidge is like getting into it now. I feel like she has some good line deliveries in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're doing the photo shoot, but she's like, you got to do the interview still. And she's smart, which is bad for you. So a sentence which I do not believe is borne out by the
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
So she's like, just charm her. Make sure she writes a good article about you, because if she doesn't, your career's over.
Yep.
Also, Jennifer Coolidge, what would a smart person do? Pin the fucking like OJ murders on him? Like, he's just a guy. They're gonna ask him questions about his show. He's not gonna incriminate himself or something. But
well, then
whatever.
again, in just last episode, Joey was going to tell like jokes about prostitutes on Jay Leno.
That's a good point.
See that was Leno back in the day, though. I think they would have gone over quite well. I know that characters in the show don't, but I think that would have worked.
Well, regardless, so she warns him, like, you make sure you do good, and he does do good. He's very charming, and he answers. He's clearly lied a lot, which I always think is crazy in these situations, but that's a part of Joey's character. He's just a lovable goofball who lies all the time. But don't worry, it's only to sleep with women, so it's ethical.
Right. And even this one, he's not trying to sleep with her, but he's using the same muscle by accident. And
he doesn't know anything else.
You know,
he's trying to be really charming, and he's succeeding. She's very charmed by him. But yeah, I think he knows that he's like seducing her, but I think he's trying to do it casually, and because of circumstances he doesn't realize, he accidentally does it seriously.
Real quick, before we move off the... Oh, sorry, TJ, you have one too?
No, you go.
Just gonna say, before we move off the flirting, what does Joey hit on specifically about this woman, and how does he put the moves on her?
Well,
is he related to?
First, he really emphasizes how much he loves women over 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, he was teed up for by her saying that he is really popular with women over 30. And I'm like, Matt LeBlanc is like well into his 30s at this point, so that only makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like that's what happens, you know, these like kind of... He reminds me a lot of Nathan Fillion, who like gets it currently on like The Rookie. He gets a lot of like, apparently, women over 30 love him, you know. But also, that's a lot of women. It's most women, you know.
Yeah,
that's like a big... It's not women over 50 or whatever. It's women over 30.
Yeah, 30 is... Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just because we're old and decrepit and over 30. But
I mean, you're still in the 18
not that old.
You're still in the 18 to 35 demo for a little bit. Like, you still matter to the public. It's not like you've, been pushed off to the ice float. Yeah.
But, 2 more for me. Yeah, so she's like, oh, can we go out for drinks sometime? And he's like, oh, why don't I take you to dinner tomorrow? And she's all like, oh, really? Wow. And he doesn't understand why until he goes back into his apartment, and Gina, Michael, and Alex, who's hanging out there for some reason. Oh, wait, no, she comes in.
Lives there now.
Being like, Happy Valentine's Day the next day. And he's like, oh, no, I invited her to dinner on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's gonna think I want to be all
serious,
boyfriend girlfriend. Yeah, serious. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like it's a first date though, Joey. Like I think, if she were any kind of intelligent, reasonable human being, she would understand that even on Valentine's Day, a first date is still just a first date.
I get it. Now there's reason to be concerned.
I mean, we'll learn more about this 30-year-old woman. And why perhaps things may not be quite what they appear. So
yeah, Alex claims that 33 and 34 is the switch that gets flipped where women are desperate to get married. Which
that's right.
If you're here for that incisive gender commentary, and don't worry, this episode of Joey has got you covered.
It really does.
Before we move on, I had one thing, just to go back a little bit to the flirting. So to the women over 30 point, there was one line that so Michelle actually watched this episode of Joey with me because it's like, all right, I want to see what all the Joey hype's about. So
and she's a true blue fan now, I assume.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I didn't realize this was missing. And there was one line that broke her. Do you guys want to, during that flirting part, you guys want to take a guess at what it was?
Was it the last question?
Yes.
I don't remember. What was it?
It fucking broke her.
The last question is the lady asks him if you got to heaven, what would you say to God? And his answer is, I sure hope there's a lot of women over 30 in there.
Or it was like, welcome to heaven. Like, here's all of these women over 30. Yeah. It absolutely broke Michelle.
Right. Yeah, it's what do you hope God says to you? That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
So I all that to say, I think this episode, Joey, is the goods. So I'm sorry, Diggins, continue.
So Joey comes up with a foolproof plan, which is, of course, communicating earnestly and honestly that he had forgotten it was Valentine's Day. And while he is interested in her, he's really not looking for a serious relationship right now.
Diggins.
I'm just kidding. Of course, it's wacky sitcom hijinks.
I think the wacky sitcom hijinks in this situation are validated, though, because he has to not make her angry.
Yeah.
Has to not get a negative whatever story about him, whatever that would be in the in the Cosmo or People magazine or whatever it is.
Well,
yeah.
Again,
so
Nando, if we assume that this is, as Jennifer Coolidge said, an intelligent woman, who is reasonably and emotionally mature, I think you could at the beginning say that and she'd be disappointed, but she'd be like, okay, I mean, you weren't trying to mislead me or anything. I understand. But anyway,
that's what you'd think, because you think this woman is around 30 and you think she is a reasonable, but maybe the show will tell you something different.
As everyone knows, the more over 30 a woman gets without a man, the crazier she gets.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we learned from this episode of Joey.
That's right. That's the main thesis of this one.
It really is.
I will agree with Nando that I think the sitcom hijinks in this one actually work and do play. I actually think this is a better episode of Joey.
Oh, Valentine's Day is such a sitcom. I don't really like Valentine's Day as a holiday. I think it's fine, but I want to keep it alive just for the sitcom writers, because those episodes are always pretty funny.
Need it. Yeah, they need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so his plan is that he asks Gina, Michael, and Alex to come to the restaurant and bump into them and join their dinner to ruin it so it's not romantic anymore.
Brilliant idea.
And none of them are doing anything. Alex, because her husband is still away on tour. Michael, because he's being stood up by some girl he apparently asked out. And Gina, because...
This show really cannot figure out what women think about Michael. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it only will get worse because I actually watched the next episode also. And they have to pick. Is he a stud who doesn't know it, or are women repelled by him? Because it's got to be one or the other for the jokes to land.
Does Gina say anything about Joey's assistant who she's dating when she says why she doesn't have anything on Valentine's Day?
No, she's just like, I'm free. I ain't got nothing.
Yeah, I don't remember what the explanation there is. I don't he might not come up at all. It's weird.
I don't remember him coming up, but I wasn't sure if I was just forgetting because it was only one line.
Yeah.
Regardless. So he goes to the restaurant and they're having a dinner and she's all into him and he's trying to not be too encouraging. But he finds out, I forget what the first line she says is. Oh no, it's because when they all show up and they join in, I think Alex says something about Gina is 34.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so the woman is like, wow, you're younger than me and you have an adult son? And Joey's like, she's over 34. Oh, no.
Oh, this was not what I was expecting. And looking at this woman, I could put her in her 30s. Sure. I think Joey's insane.
Wait for the...
But yeah.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, meanwhile, wants to do his favorite Valentine's Day activity of hitting on single women in groups.
Yep.
Classic.
But
Joey.
he can't do it because he's on this date, so he sends Michael to do it instead. And they're all like, get out of here, you creep. And he's like, I'm sorry, Joey sent me over. And they're like, oh, is Joey free? And he's like, no.
Yeah, right? Ready to pounce.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts commiserating about how he's been... Well, no, he says that the excuse he was given, and they're like, oh no, she's avoiding you. And so they all get together and just start complaining about their love lives together, and he becomes one of the girls.
Lols.
Nice.
Wow, isn't it funny how girls complain about how boys are inconsiderate? And that's just universally true of all men and all women. Rigid gender roles that are not fluid at all.
I mean,
yeah, I like it.
It's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You nailed it.
We see it happen in real life, like right in front of us in our eyes in the show.
That's
so
true.
We got it.
Well, the lady whose name I forget can obviously tell that Joey's up to something. While Alex gets drunk and starts complaining about her husband never being around.
Oh, Alex.
Oh, yeah. Feel for
she
her,
starts complaining about to Gina as they go off on their own. The woman's like, you invited them here on purpose because you want me to meet your family because you're so serious about our relationship that we're on our first date of.
Yay!
And Joey gets deeper and deeper in the lie. Is like, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So man, great at improv. All yes and. That's all he knows.
The next day, Jennifer Coolidge is like, you just got to keep pretending you like her because in 2 days the article comes out and then you can dump her and it won't matter that she hates you.
Do you remember this line she dropped?
I spent longer in a hot tub with Ed Asner than that.
I think it was like shower or something like that.
Oh.
Like I had to shower with Ed Asner for longer than that. 48 hours.
That's right. It is a shower.
Jesus Christ.
This is what I'm saying. I feel like Jennifer Coolidge is really starting to hit her stride.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
So Joey puts up with it. He goes out, he like comes with her to get her hair colored. And she's like, if I don't do it, then I'm completely gray up there. And he does his Joey eye pop like, oh no, she's even older.
Yeah.
Which is really ironic when you consider that even like halfway through Friends, Matt LeBlanc has been dyeing his hair that whole time because he went very prematurely gray.
Yep.
But he's a man. It doesn't, different circumstances, it's like, that's just a normal thing any man should do at any point, as opposed to a woman where it's like a trick they're playing on us, I even think there's also another line earlier where she says like, it was like, she tagged something to like her younger sister's 36th birthday, or is that later?
No.
Oh, okay.
That comes later.
All right. Yeah.
Because what it is she said she's putting an extension for the article and it's not going to be out for another month. And then she also does some weird stuff about being a kitty and wanting Joey to have a stomach.
Yeah.
This is where I'm like, this woman's just insane, it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this isn't even like normal couple stuff. This is just weird.
It's a little strange.
But then she's like, I want you to come visit my family for my little sister's 40th birthday party.
That's
and then Joey's like,
yeah.
over 40.
And when the characters pry the gun out of his mouth, he says, what's his next move?
He tries to gently say that he doesn't think it's a good idea. Oh, right. I did forget at one point, she says she doesn't want kids. And Gina's like, just say you want kids. And then that's it.
Yep.
But Joey accidentally ends up convincing her to have kids.
Bummer.
And now he tries to be like, I think we're moving a little too fast. And she's like, no, that's horrible. I hate you. I'm going to go write that article right now.
She really escalates it.
And he's like, okay. And then they're in Canada where her family lives. And it's a bad trip. Nana and Papa are weird. And he wrestled with her naked cousin or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Just shirtless, not naked, but still. Oh, yeah. And in somewhere in this, Michael... Joey talked about stringing her along for a couple days so he could get a good article, and Michael was like, men, and walked away, and you're like, oh, he's one of the girls, and that's the last time we see him in the episode. That's the end of this arc.
So fucking funny, man.
What about, I feel like we kind of skipped over the Gina revelations that are quite severe.
I guess I'll just do that now too. So Alex is too embarrassed to talk to Gina because of all the things she told her about her marriage. And Gina's like, I don't really care. It's fine. But she's still embarrassed. So Gina, to even the playing field, reveals that she is an expert tap dancer and has been for like 20 years.
Ho-ho! Get him.
Good.
And then Alex does some really bad jazz dancing, and Gina's like, oh, now we're not even again. Oh.
Yeah.
That's the
Real
end.
dumb.
That's the end of that plot line. Meanwhile, Joey is spiraling. He can't find a way out of this until the grandparents are like, if you get married, you're going to do a Lutheran church in California or here? And she's like, yeah, it's very important to my family that whoever I marry be part of our faith. And Joey thinks he's free and clear because he's Italian, he's Catholic, but she's like, as long as our kids are Christian, they'll be okay. So he goes for the Hail Mary, tells her he's Jewish.
I cannot believe this. Just, why Jewish?
Brilliant.
Well,
because it's believable, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
it's gonna come out.
What is he gonna say? Muslim? Get out of here.
Atheist.
Yeah.
Atheist,
We're so
baby.
close to 9/11.
No,
That's
he's
true.
atheist. I'm an atheist.
This
Yeah,
is so
but then
close to
I feel
9/11,
like-
DJ. No one's an atheist.
that's true. We all believed in Christian God, except for
Yeah.
Joey.
Christian.
He needed to be convinced.
Those are the two things you can be, Christian or Jewish. That's it.
Yep. And he picked the other one, not Christian. Pretty good.
And this one apparently works. She's like, okay,
Yep.
I guess we can't be together. And she still writes a very nice article where she talks about how he's a really serious Jew, like a really serious practitioner of Judaism, is really more how she puts it.
And he's like, all right, it's okay.
He's like,
And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
And if any single Jewish ladies are out there, he's on the prowl. And they got a ton of messages from Jewish ladies, and that's the end of the episode, baby.
Yeah. So like incredible for Joey. Really like
Yeah.
I mean, Joey, the problem with Joey is he doesn't really have any trouble with women, but like I don't know, send some of those single Jewish ladies Michael's way or something. Like we got to do something with this new pipeline of women because Joey's only so much man, and Michael's still, we'll see next week, but he's still unlucky in love to some extent for some reason.
Damn.
Yeah.
Michael.
Pretty good.
Poor Michael.
They do have, I feel like, I don't know how much of a running gag this is, but just like whenever Michael says something hopeful about his love life, and all the other characters just kind of like look at each other behind his back and shake their heads.
Mhm.
I do kind of like that.
This fucking
Yeah, that's
guy.
I like it because originally it was just Joey, and now like all of them are in on it.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
Uh,
think my favorite part of this episode was that Alex is in a loveless marriage. And
Yeah,
the show
what
just
a revelation,
doesn't care.
honestly.
Like, I'm really curious to see how this plays out, if at all. But like, what do you even do on a show like this? Does she divorce her husband?
Yeah, right?
Like,
This kid, what could the escalation be?
yeah.
I mean, I feel like we could have guessed this plot twist considering that of the 17 episodes of Joey we've watched, her husband has been in one.
Right. Yeah. But part of me, I guess in a show like this, part of me is like, is that going to be the bit? Is he's always away? You never see him.
Right.
But because she doesn't have any romantic chemistry with any of the leads, so like you're kind of like, well, maybe if she did, they'd start working this plot line into the show. But they're like, it's not working. So what's the point? Just leave her in stasis forever.
Fuck it.
It's funny you say that, Nando, because this actress and Matt LeBlanc were in a relationship for like 15 years.
Oh my god!
What?
What is her?
They met
oh my
doing
God.
this show. Like they weren't together before, but yeah, they met during this show, and then they were together for like a decade and a half.
Oh my god.
Wow. Good for them.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
But anyway, guys, that's enough about Joey. I know it's everyone's favorite segment of the podcast, but we need to move on
Yeah,
I
because
love
we
it.
still
Too
got to
much.
talk about Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they made a Final Destination movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we do that, I do have to introduce, of course, because the wheel is still, one step ahead in a game of cat and mouse with every intelligence agency in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
we've been, cycling through a bunch of replacements. Today I have, of course, making a guest appearance on our podcast from the movie, The Penny.
Whoa.
Oh, what do we have to do to the penny?
So every time you have something to say, you just flip the penny. Ching! And then, say what you got to say.
Great.
So without further ado, let's get started. So the movie opens with, like I said, a man and a woman dressed like it's the 50s, but it's 1968. The woman has a blindfold on. The man's like, I'm going to surprise you. And she's all nervous about it, but then they get there and he takes off the blindfold, and they're in front of the Space Needle, except it's not the Space Needle. It's a knockoff called the Skyview Tower.
Yeah, the trailer lied to us.
Well, what did it lie to you? Did it say, was there a point where it was like,
they wanted us to think
Needle?
it was the Space Needle? They know what they did.
I think we were supposed to know it wasn't the Space Needle, because the Space Needle would never let them do this.
Well,
it's a real thing.
The real Space Needle.
Right. It's a Space Needle-ish thing, I guess. Yeah, but if you're her, do you not assume this is what you're going to?
Why would you assume that?
Well, it's the opening. She didn't even know it was open. This is opening night, and it's only for special important people. But he's managed to wrangle tickets.
But he got her to dress up, I assume, for this. He's quite dressed up, which she's able to see him, I'm assuming, before he puts the blindfold on. And
she's able to see herself before she puts the blindfold on.
But
she's able to, yeah.
Also, she's dressed how you dressed back then. They just always dress nice.
Haven't you listened to all of those Twitter accounts with busts of Roman emperors for avatars? Back in the 50s, everyone always dressed up in nice dresses and suits and looked cool and good all the time.
It's true.
That is pretty cool.
What happened to our culture, man? What happened to our society? We don't have any more.
I could tell you what happened to our society, but they won't let me because this is, conspiracy. Yeah. I guess my question then is, she's like, they live here, right?
Mm-hmm. Presumably.
Within a drive of the Space Needle thing. How is this not all anybody's talking about? It just seems like they live in a small town that just built the Space Needle.
She thinks it hasn't opened yet.
Yeah.
I know, how wouldn't you know that? Wouldn't you know, hey, they're opening the Space Needle?
Done 5 months early.
If your town, the town you live in now, built a Space Needle.
New York City?
Not you, the other one, DJ. If a town in, like we're made to believe, New Jersey, built its own Space Needle, that'd be all anybody would be talking about at the supermarket. Hey, did you hear they're opening the Skyview 5 months early? There's no way this would be. And every time, if someone's like, hey, get in the car, we're going on a surprise thing, you'd be like, we're going to fucking Space Needle. It'd be implausible, but you'd be like, well, probably that. To the point where if you were the boyfriend, you'd be like, I probably won't do this if it's not the Space Needle, because she'll probably think it's the Space Needle and get her hopes up when we show up at the picnic. Even though she doesn't seem like she'd be a humongous fan of the Space Needle either way. But there's the idea that this small town built a Space Needle and she's kind of surprised by it blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, and into the first part of that, the idea that a small town built a Space Needle, well, maybe that will turn out to be, maybe there's a reason that small towns don't usually do that.
That's a good point. Yeah. Just one reason. It's hard to build the Space Needle, I guess.
Probably. I've never tried.
How do they even do it? You build it on inside and you just tip it over.
That's
tip
right.
it up. That would be the easiest way. Yeah.
And then you just drill it into the ground.
Mm-hmm. Couple big screws and maybe some tape. But then it works. It would have been better than this.
Possibly. It definitely doesn't seem well constructed. Anyway, they go up in the elevator. There's a whole bunch of is the elevator going to fall? The elevator door is floor is made out of glass. A little kid who's a little punk steals a penny out of a fountain. Keep your eye on that kid.
Oh my god.
A punk from the year 2025, right? Like he's dressed like a child from the 60s or 50s or whatever the scene is set in, but he talks like an adult or like a child today, written by an adult.
He also seems to be there by himself. We never see parents or anything near him.
Yeah. They make a
Um,
big deal out of how it's like, oh, it's such a special event. No, you just sneak right in. Fuck it.
They get there and the maitre d' is like, I'm sorry, we're all full. And he's like, no, I worked it out with Jake. And he's like, Jake was fired. Good day, sir.
Yeah, what the fuck was this?
I would like it if they gave us information about Jake. Like Jake's job was he was the screw inspector in the building. His job was to inspect all the screws. You never fire him.
Actually, we're going to get a sequel where it turns out Jake also had a premonition.
That would make sense.
Instead of trying to save anybody, he just didn't go into work.
I mean, that would be what you would do if you got the premonition that day. You'd just be like, it's probably a sign I shouldn't go in. But you wouldn't be like, it's really going to happen.
Possibly. But they managed to sneak in anyway. She is a little scared still. She sees how tall it is. She keeps feeling bad, but whatever. She goes to throw up. Uh-oh, she's pregnant. The singer lady figures it out, and she's like, yeah, but I'm scared my boyfriend won't be happy.
Singer, does she have a young black son? That's a boy?
Well,
in 1960, whatever?
That's true, she does.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Was there any doubt in either of your guys' mind that that's what this was? Or
I wasn't thinking about it at first, but when they were like, who's blank? Because I'll get to it later. I was like, oh, okay. So it's him, and it's him.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Immediately when I saw this character and the camera lingered on him for more than a second, I was like, oh, okay, that's cute.
Gotcha.
But
yeah. They go up to the very roof where you can see everything.
Did they let you do this, by the way? In a
oh, there's way more like safety features.
Yeah,
but yes.
You can blow right off this fucking thing.
There's like a net and like a cage sometimes and stuff, but they do let you do this.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been to the top of something big like the Empire State Building or whatever?
Yeah, it's on the Empire State Building.
Right? There's lots of shit.
Yeah, it's just,
you know. Oh yeah, 30 Rock. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I've never been to a Space Needle.
I've been to a Space Needle. I've never been to the Space Needle.
Yeah, I did CN Tower, which is like kind of Space Needle-ish.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah. What did you go to, Diggins?
Just like an observation platform in where was this? Madrid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool. Now, I've never been up to one of these because it looks dangerous. Mm-hmm. You know,
you too scared?
I mean,
you scared?
I don't think I know if they had specifically a dance floor that was made out of glass, I might agree with you.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, some things are like there's also a bit of chandelier falls at one point and cracks the glass a little, and I'm like, how weak is that glass?
So weak. Like, apparently getting this thing done 5 months early meant they just picked up glass from the Home Depot instead of getting like tempered, glass you could dance on. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool.
They got the glass from that Squid Game in season 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They should have got that guy here. He would have been able to do the stomp or whatever and figure it out.
Yep.
But luckily they didn't have him because that wouldn't be as cool.
Yeah. The boyfriend proposes and Iris tells him she's pregnant, but he's happy about it. So she says yes, and it's all cool. People applaud. And they go downstairs to dance, and the band starts playing Shout. So everyone's
Does something else happen up at the top?
Oh, right. The shit kid is about to throw a penny off when a guy's like, don't throw a penny off, you could kill someone. And that's not true. But pennies can't get enough velocity to actually hurt anybody.
In the conventional sense, Diggins, the penny can do other clever things.
In the way this guy means, it is not true.
I think this is what he meant. I think he was like, don't throw that penny, otherwise it'll go in a vent and hit a thing, and then that'll explode.
Yeah, so the kid throws the penny anyway, and it gets sucked into a vent through like the air ducts of the tower, and then gets perfectly caught, like stopping a fan from moving because it's like wedged in. And that's where we leave it for now, while everybody's stomping and shouting on the glass dance floor. Which causes more and more cracks to appear that nobody notices.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's very.
There'd be at
very
least
zen.
one person that's just looking straight at the floor the whole time because they're terrified of it,
There's
or
even a part of
fascinated
the
by it.
song where they all shimmy down
Yeah.
and are near the
goddamn
ground.
song.
And not a single person notices all the cracks. Or the band standing up on a raised platform looking down on them. They don't notice. But at the same time, the penny goes shooting out from the fan. There's finally enough pressure that builds and like knocks off like a gas can thing for like propane. From the grill or the kitchen. And so that starts like leaking into the through the air ducts. They finally stomp too much. Not only do they shatter the glass, but the steel beam that supports the dome here buckles and breaks. Everybody falls and dies except for Iris, our main character lady.
I think we even saw earlier than that the steel beam had like its rivets were coming out or something before any pressure. Like this thing is held together with tape. Like before any of the Final Destinationing happened.
Just from all the people dancing, rivets were shooting out and it was breaking.
Yeah.
But now a bunch of people die, so everyone's panicking, running. Somebody runs past a guy who's flambeing something, and so he like flails around with his huge on fire frying pan, and unfortunately he manages to hit the one woman in there who's apparently covered in gasoline.
Bro.
Because she lights up completely and immediately.
I mean, listen,
brilliant stuff.
Some clothes are way more flammable than they should be. I bet in the 60s there was a clothes that was this, that you'd look at it and go, oh man, they made that out of like, tissue paper back in the day. That must be what she's wearing.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But she runs over to the part of the place where the propane is leaking out, and so that explodes and destroys even more of the thing. So everyone's trying to get out. The bellhop's like, go to the stairs. And then for absolutely no reason whatsoever, the top portion of the stairs just completely annihilates itself.
Yep.
Just destroyed caused by nothing.
The kid got free though, at least.
To be fair, I think the beam that was broken when people fell falls off the building and takes that side of the wall with it. I think that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that might be.
But it looks like it's just too many people on the stairs and the stairs explode. Which is also funny because like we see the elevator has like a window. You can see out the window, which made me go, wait, what are the stairs then? Like,
you
know what I mean?
Some inner column, right? Or
there has to be something else, but it seems like it's just around the outside of it with the way the kid's running. But I don't know. That bit confused me.
Don't worry about it.
But it's important. It's important to me.
The kid is the only one who doesn't die when the stairs collapse, so he runs off. Iris didn't make it into the stairs in time for this to happen to her, so she's still alive, but things are pretty bad. And then things start tilting, and she's like, oh no, it's going to fall. So she's the only one who manages to get up far enough
One thing
away.
Before that, because another group of people tries to escape in a way that's also awesome.
Oh, right. Yeah, really
Everyone
stupid.
in this
So
everyone's like
shitty. Everyone's like getting in the elevator now because it's the only way down.
Yep.
But like they crowd it. There's way too many people. She already noticed that it's like 8-person max occupancy to begin with. And now there's like 30 people in there. And the maitre d' is trying to force his way in. He's like, no, let me in. And they're arguing. But then the elevator buckles. Everyone else falls to their death except the maitre d', who is halfway in. So he gets bisected as the elevator falls.
That was savage.
That was beautiful.
Pretty brutal.
That's what he gets for not giving that guy a reservation.
I was going to say, but he was rude, so he deserves it.
He was rude.
Then the thing tilts, and she's the only one who makes it like to the center of the room. But that penny, it's not done yet. It was like up in like the ceiling or something and falls.
Yeah. It got exploded by the explosion and then landed, I don't know, on the chandelier or something.
Something like that.
Track.
And then it falls out of the chandelier on top of a grand piano, which shifts the weight on the piano just enough that it tips over, crashes into everybody, and breaks the window, sending them all plummeting to their deaths. At the
Ugh.
bottom of the tower, we see the shit kid has just made it to the bottom. He's like, "Ooh, I'm okay." And then the piano lands on him, and we see a bunch of gore underneath the piano. It's pretty savage considering it's a child.
Amazing.
He was
though.
bad,
Like
though.
he's the worst child ever, and yeah,
Bad child.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying it was savage.
he broke
That's
all
fair.
the rules, and also when it's hard to communicate this completely without like people seeing it, but when the bit of escape, like stairwell that he is almost on cracks off, he gets to look at the main character who is not going to make it, and he kind of gives her a look like, "You're fucked," and then runs down the
Sorry.
thing.
Yeah.
So this kid's evil, but also this kid at one point says, I can't remember the line, but it's like, "Eat shit, bro," or something that made me feel like that's so out of place for a child in this time.
He calls
But-
the cop a fat ass at one point,
Yeah.
which is
oh, maybe
pretty
that's
nuts.
it. Yeah.
It's like, get out of here, fat ass. Like, what?
Do people
You
say
sure?
that in the 50s that much? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Or 60s or whatever. But yeah.
68 is the year.
Mm.
So now Iris is the only one left. So she's just staying in the center, like, it's scary. But she's not the only one left. The little kid pops out of like a box he was hiding in.
Oh,
His mom put him in like a service container to avoid the fire, right? At one point.
That was
yeah.
it.
She got incinerated.
But the fire's raging over where he is, and like the floor is weakening. So she runs over to grab him, and then tries to run back, but the whole thing's collapsing. She jumps, but doesn't quite make it. Is holding on by 2 bits of rebar are sticking out that perfectly have caught her wedding ring in it, and her whole body is being held up by the force of her wedding ring stuck on her finger.
insane.
Which we did see earlier was too tight when the boyfriend got it. So,
And then in
yeah.
what is to me the worst bit of gore in the entire movie, I hate this.
Me too. 100%.
Her finger gets degloved as her weight pulls her down, which would have happened immediately in this actual situation. Because again, that's not going to support your entire weight. But yeah, so she falls, and her and the kid die. And right as they're about to die, a young girl, like in her 20s,
College aged.
College
College-age
student,
girl.
as the IMDb said.
screams in the middle of a class, and everyone's like, "What?" And it turns out this is our actual main character, Stephanie, who has been having nightmares constantly.
And daymares.
Well, I think she fell asleep in the class is the implication.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Well, she hasn't slept in months, so she's constantly falling asleep, and then
she's been having this nightmare every time she's fallen asleep for the past 2 months. And so and every time she wakes up screaming, her roommate's like, "Go home and figure out why," because she's like, "My grandma's name is Iris. Maybe that means something." So she goes home with her dad and her brother. Her mom's not in the picture anymore, but she's like, where's mom's stuff? And her dad's like, "I got rid of it all. Don't ask your uncle about it either."
Yeah. Let me point you to the next leg of the quest. We gotta get this movie moving and interesting soon.
So she drives.
Oh, I'm sorry, DJ. Was the Space Needle collapse not interesting enough for you? The first 15 minutes of the movie are just a whole building that's never even existed collapsing like this. Like,
it's hard when you start so strong.
Can you imagine if this happened? By the way, like if one day they opened a Space Needle and it just fell over
like on day one.
Yeah,
because people were jumping too much on the dance floor.
I mean, you'd never find that bit out though, right? Like you'd just be like, I guess the Space Needle collapsed because something.
Yeah, because
they
no
built
one
it
survived.
Bad. Yeah, no one's gonna tell them. Yeah, it'd be. It's awesome.
Yeah. She drives her brother to their uncle and aunt's house because he wants to hang out with the cousins. And meanwhile, on the way there, her brother's like, I'm mad at you because you went to college and now we don't talk.
You're
and
never
you only come home
around
for holidays. And I'm like, yeah, she went to college. What are you talking about?
I mean, that's younger siblings kind of do that. Get too attached. I get it.
It's too attached. Mad that he's not talking to his sister anymore.
Yeah.
Little baby.
a little brat, but it's fine. I hope something terrible happens to him is all I can say because of this,
wow.
horrible burden he's put on her.
Well, all the cousins also kind of give her the cold shoulder. And we meet all of them, Eric and Bobby and Julia. The little brother is Charlie, and she's Stephanie.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And we go see Uncle Howard because she wants to ask Uncle Howard about his mom, who's Grandma Iris, who I understand that she never had a real relationship with this woman, so she may be reluctant to use the term grandma at any point. I found so weird she kept calling her Iris.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's true.
But yeah, she's like, what happened? And eventually Howard reveals that Iris raised her kids, which were him and his sister Darlene, who is Stephanie's mom, really paranoid about them dying, and like wouldn't let them do anything until the state took them away from her, and she went to foster. But she kept sending them letters of obituaries and morbid stuff, and they broke off all contact with her. But Stephanie pleads because the nightmares are so bad and she needs to figure out what's happened with them. Eventually her aunt tells her where to find the stuff. So she goes to visit her grandma Iris, who lives in the Jonestown compound.
Yeah, so we said this is New Jersey.
Yeah,
do you remember the town?
Penny, whatever. What's the penny sound? Swish. I don't know.
Have you ever flipped a coin in your life?
Well, what sound does that really make?
It makes
really
that
good question.
Ching sound,
Ching. Ching. Sure, why not? Okay, well, ching. Okay, so she gets the letter out of the box. Right now, one thing I thought was weird was I thought there was gonna be like a string of it's like, oh, it's gonna lead to this location, this location, this location. The return address is just to the super bunker where Iris lives, which I thought was interesting, right? Like,
it is interesting,
right? Like, why is she in the super bunker? Or why does the super bunker have like that address? It's in the middle of the woods. But anyway,
I mean, even things in the middle of the woods have an address technically.
I guess. Well, to more scrutinize the point, I saw Candlewood, New Jersey as the city state. And it's Candlewood. It's in I know not everyone here is gonna be familiar with like Jersey geography, but it's like South Jersey. You know what it's near? It's near our Six Flags. That's like where Candlewood is.
So, she shouldn't go there.
Well, what?
She would have a bad time in our
hugely dangerous place for her.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe she put her compound there. So she's not too far from Six Flags, but like there's no part of New Jersey in that area that is this barren. I don't think.
Oh, no, DJ, that is so close to the farmlands.
Is that
I know places that look like this in like Colts Neck.
But like, there's nothing for miles, right? We can't even see the
I mean, we don't know. I don't know about miles. We don't see for that far around. It's just
Candlewood.
It's like in a forest.
Candlewood's not in the Pine Barrens, though. Like, it's like a suburb, right?
Are we sure it's in New Jersey and not New York?
I see. It's hard with the script, but like the J was like pretty descriptive with like the J. It stinks because like we won't know till it's VOD, but like I'm like pretty sure it was Candlewood.
DJ, I'm not sure you realize how little forest you need for a thing to look like this.
I mean, she's got a full compound, right? Like,
I mean, it's really just a cabin. I've been saying compound because it's a survivalist bunker.
It is a compound, fortified bunker and everything. I'm telling you. Well, all right. Regardless, I thought it was a little sus.
It's interesting, the geography of this movie, because wherever it is, it's far enough that she can drive there, right? Like without needing to I don't know, get a hotel room halfway around or something. But also, it's far enough that like it's weird that the family still lives this close to her, considering how much they hate her. Like, I figured by now they would have moved across the country or something, but it seems like they might be in the same county. and like
I
she
mean-
knows where they live probably.
Well, she doesn't know now because they didn't tell her their new address.
Yeah,
right, but it wasn't
like
so far, right? It wasn't like California, like New Jersey to California or something.
yeah, I feel like she could find them if she wanted to. I assume
Yeah.
she
I
has
don't think
one
she can,
connection.
because she never leaves her bunker and she doesn't appear to have the internet.
Well,
She has a friend though who could get the internet and who
Yes.
could find them if he wanted to, I think.
Hey,
And
how does she talk to him?
I think he goes to her. I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know why that is acceptable, except that I guess she knows that he's safe, but she would know that about her sister too, or daughter too, and all of the kids. So yeah, I don't know. How does he talk to her? Maybe he calls her.
Yeah, she could
have, like,
get far out the
satellite
on the
phone or
phone, right?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's what you think. But then a little bit of wind goes
I
through the
shouldn't
phone
say that. I'm gonna
speaker.
get Final Destination from a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so she makes it there. She tells her she's her granddaughter, and Iris lets her in. But she has to
Mhm.
leave her phone and keys behind. She won't be tricked.
Nope.
Because the Final Destination will get her through the phone. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So she goes inside. Iris is like very careful about where she's able to stand and sit and everything. And I love this character because like she has become the Final Destination whisperer.
Yeah.
She can tell when like some seemingly innocuous action is about to Final Destination someone.
And not only can she tell, then she'll be like, "You suck. That you're not even cool at getting me." Like,
Fuck off, motherfucker. Yeah, no, it's so
Yeah.
true. So strange.
and I just want to point out, like, she really goes to a lot of lengths to keep, like, the daughter walking into the house is like a big deal. She does not leave the house, it seems, ever.
Right.
Why?
Because she can control the circumstances and make sure she doesn't get Final Destination, I guess.
Why? Just a house. People have been Final Destination in houses before. It's not like this is an immaculate house with nothing in it. It's full of bullshit.
I was
Like,
reading some plot summaries of other Final Destinations. People have gotten Final Destinations from planes falling on them from the sky.
Yeah. One of the characters in the first one, I think, goes into a cabin very similar to this one. I don't think we're supposed to think it's the same one, but it's like there's a lot of ways you could get Final Destination. And for some reason, she has the house that beats death, but like you'd assume based on like a curse or something that's around it. Like, I don't know what it is. And I think it's fine. I think it's very funny, but it's an interesting like plot thing that later characters are like, if we go to the house, we'll be safe. And it's like, why? What do
makes
you think
that? Yeah.
made the house? Yeah. But I don't know.
I honestly think Death just respects the hustle. Like, she's gotten so good at telling when Final Destinations are happening that Death's like, if I just send a plane on her, that's cheating.
That's
That's fair.
I gotta get her now, or I'm not gonna feel good about it.
Like I have to have like a magnifying glass, hit a rope,
Yeah.
drop a plant. Like it, Death now must Rube Goldberg her to death.
Yeah.
There is no just like plane or
Or also,
or
it could
whatever.
give her cancer, apparently, which is another acceptable.
Well,
But
apparently,
I feel like Cancer is a different guy. Like, it feels like there's like a bunch of guys that are Death, and there's the Cancer guy, and then there's this guy who like drops shit on other shit, and the Cancer guy's like, listen, it's been a couple of years, I'm gonna have to do something. Let me try another, throw this little thing.
I know she does. I don't think the Cancer is Death, because otherwise, it wouldn't then get her, right? Because
exactly.
I've got you.
That's true.
I guess it would. The only explanation would be that she's not going to die from the cancer. It's all part of Death's plan to get a bill into the thing that'll roll off the table, that'll land on a spoon or whatever. But I don't think that's what it is.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Iris tells Stephanie all about how when she got that premonition in the Space Needle, she stole the penny from the kid and then ran downstairs and told everyone to stop dancing because the glass was breaking, and stopped everybody from dying. And
hey, real quick. Oh, are you gonna flip a coin as well?
I was gonna flip a coin.
Yeah. You
I'm
flip yours, then I'll flip mine.
And mine's just called The Fucking Pigs at It Again.
Oh, okay. What's yours?
Because like when she goes up on stage and starts yelling, like,
oh yeah,
a like security guy or a cop or whatever comes up and is like trying to like drag her off, like arrest her or something.
Yeah.
But then everyone looks down and realizes like, oh shit, she's right. The glass is breaking, and they all come off the dance floor, and everybody lives. And the cop is still arresting her.
Yeah. She caused a scene, a commotion. She tried to take the microphone away from the band.
This woman's
stealing that microphone. She could have used it to do whatever.
We see this from the kid's perspective later, and he's like dragging her off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was warning people who were about to die. What is your problem?
Yeah. It's not like you don't hear, because like sometimes with the Final Destination, they won't listen, and then the person will avoid being killed in the Final Destination situation, but the other people that didn't listen will still die in the thing. But in this situation, the whole collapse doesn't happen because they didn't jump on it. Although, like she says, it closed the next day and they never reopened it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
they went to like an actual inspector went in after that, where they're like, your dance floor was collapsing in your sky tower. Okay.
Was it the first song that ever played? Second song. Get out of here.
Also, not to nitpick, but to bring it back around, this isn't really deserve a flick, but that elevator did say max occupancy 8 people, and the bellhop was like, "Come on in, I'll take."
Yeah, sure, but that's not what went wrong.
No, I understand,
but it's not a good sign. Yeah.
Also,
I don't know how the Space Needle works. I assume there's 2 elevators, right? What happens if the first one just breaks? Everybody just lives there now, or they got to walk down a million? Yeah, like there's no fucking way. This is not a feasible
usually
business.
Things like this have 2 elevators or more.
Yeah. But I like yours. I'm gonna flick the coin real quick. Flick. It landed on. How does she know about the penny? There's a question I have. So when we have the first little flashback in the beginning of the movie, we see everything, and we watch the movie because we're in the audience of the movie. But I would assume the flashback that she is seeing in her head is through the eyes of the main character. So how the fuck does she know that the kid throwing the penny off the building went into the thing, and then made the thing explode, and then that is why she wouldn't know even that's why the piano fell. You wouldn't be able to see that. And
she did. I think we do see her look at and like watch the penny fall on the piano. Now, drawing the logical gap between that penny falling on a piano and that being the penny the kid dropped off the tower is insane.
Yeah. I do think that it's funny that this is one of those things where she knows so much stuff, and we'll get to it. She has the super death vision, but you figure it'd be more than enough to be well, don't jump on the dance floor and it explodes, and then you're good. But she does snatch the penny out of the kid's hand, suggesting that she watched the movie with us and knows the journey the penny will take. Also, we didn't point this out, but I love this. The penny is stolen from the wishing well or something. I did say that.
So a kid steals a penny from a fountain.
Right. And then when it hits the piano falls on the kid. The penny falls right back into the fountain, right? Did you say that bit? It completes the cycle, because that's all that happened was one penny went on a journey, killed everybody.
From the perspective of the universe, that's all this was.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's pretty good. But yeah, so that was my only thing.
All right. So Iris prevented that, but ever since then, all the people who lived through that event started getting Final Destinationed because they weren't supposed to live, and so death has been killing all of them. But that was so many people. It took Death so long to work his way through all of them that some of those people had families and kids by the time Death got to them. So whenever it got to someone who had kids, it then worked its way down their family tree, left hand side sort of, where it's you have 2 kids, that's your first kid, then your first kid's first kid, your first kid's second kid, etc., until all that branch is dead, and then your second kid, all kids from there, etc.
Hey, if I may here, just flip. Hey, Death, what's the fucking holdup? I saw you in Final Destination 3. It was like a roller coaster with 8 kids or whatever. You took care of that in a couple weekends. Why the fuck is it let's say it was 200 people. You could have got to it before all those people had like multiple generations of kids. Come on, Death. Like, get off the couch. Let's go. Hustle culture. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and like I think before it gets to Iris, it's like 12 years or something.
Yeah. Well, Iris is the GOAT, right?
Right. I'm saying not counting Iris, who has her like world historic run.
Yes.
It still takes Death 12 years to get to her.
Right.
Wait,
yes,
from
exactly.
who? From nobody?
From when this event happens to her being next is 12 years.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait. Sure. That doesn't. Wait, does
because
this
she
make
has
sense?
the timeline of obituaries, and the timeline ends at 1980.
So then,
so it's 12 years to get through, let's say 200 people ish.
Wait a second. Oh, but I thought all the other Final Destinations were kind of related to this. Were Death cleaning up other stuff? Don't we see like flipping through the book, like the log truck and the plane from the first movie and stuff?
Oh no, those aren't related to this.
That's just like other Death
those are
stuff
different
that's
Final Destinations.
Okay. Yeah,
gotcha. Well, see, that's
Iris
the
found
thing.
all
I
of
thought
them
all
somehow.
Yeah, she just knows that they all happen, but they're not connected to her line. I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she explains all this, and Stephanie's like, "Oh, she is crazy, like everyone told me. Whoops."
Oopsie daisy.
So she starts running away, but Iris is like, "No, you need to take the book. You need to save our family." And she comes, and I love this. She's like stops just before she gets outside, and she like looks in her insane scribblings, which are like complete. Like, it's not like they're orderly, like, lists of, like, here's what the thing's like. They are, stereotypical, like, what Carnage was drawing in his jail cell in the second Venom movie, where they're just, like, insane rantings at different diagonals all scrolled together. She looks in and she sees the fire extinguisher and the weather vane and, like, does the math in her head to be like, okay, so Death's about to get me, but this is too important. And so she makes the heroic sacrifice of she runs out and gives Stephanie the book and is like, here, you need to take it to save the family. I know you don't believe me now, but you will in a second when Death gets me. And Stephanie's like, what? And then I forget, like something falls off the roof that hits
the weather vane.
The weather vane falls off the roof, lands and perfectly knocks off the cap of the fire extinguisher, which then shoots the weather vane out like an arrow, precisely like through the back of Iris's head. And like splits her head in half. And then we hard cut to her funeral.
Hell yeah. I do want to say this is going to be the first of many. So like we talked about it in the last episode, and like in general, Final Destination killings usually stem from a couple of things. This movie's like 90% wind, and this is the first of the wind killings, but it's going to be more. And that's great. Wind is cool and scary. But I do love that because what the book is like drawn pictures of like a fire hydrant, colored whatever, but like with words on it like danger and like whatever. One of the pictures is just a big scroll, like wind scrolls, like she knows that wind is the main thing.
It's fucking wind.
And yeah, that's good that she has it because it's handy.
So everyone's sad at the funeral, and then Stephanie and Charlie's mom shows up. Even though she's been out of their lives for like 10 years or more. And the dad's not happy about it, but their uncle, who's the mom's older brother, is happy to see her. And everyone except Stephanie goes to the repast which is like a barbecue in Uncle Howard's backyard. Meanwhile, Stephanie's like flipping through the book that she got from Iris and is like learning to see the code like in the Matrix. She can she starts figuring out how Final Destinationing works.
And this just again, I mean, we'll get to this, it'll come up a bunch, but I do want to flip the coin here. Flip land. What is in the book? what did the book? She opens the book and like looks at it. We see it a couple of times. It really is just pictures of stuff, and then go like danger next to it, like plane,
it's all the
and
bad
then like
things that can happen.
But and then, like, how can you read that and go, "Oh, you know what? This is actually a blender in this house." Like, every room would have all the same things. Nothing in the book doesn't. None of these things are. It doesn't make any sense, and it's fine. But the idea that this is just some sort of knowledge that you can pass along is insane to me.
I think it later when Steffi does the full like 360 no scope of like, well, that
Right.
can hit that and that can hit that. I think reading the book puts you in like that zone of knowing how to see those signs.
No, I think you're right.
It's like I said, it's like reading the code in the Matrix. It's just sort of like the secret language of the universe that if you learn how to read it, you can tell how Final Destinationing works.
Yes, exactly.
I guess that is true. I guess it seems like to believe the Final Destination, that's a different thing. And like most characters in these movies don't believe it's happening until like right before it gets them. But for like a normal person like me or you, what value would we get out of seeing a picture of a wood chipper and then around it going danger, middle part of the wood chipper might get you?
Yeah.
Like
it's adding to the knowledge.
Is she
it's
just
like,
Googling stuff and going like, oh, I don't like the look of that at all, drawing it in her little book and then putting an arrow next to all the spiky parts?
So
Nando, this is why we're not Death Whisperers.
Right.
Yeah, it really aren't.
This other point. These people live in a cartoon world. In that book is you figuring out as you observe the world around you, and as she studied all these Final Destinations, are all the ways how you could die, and you have to respect death. And she, even though it's rambling, has put that into a book, right? So it's like, look out for wood chippers, look out for chainsaws, look out for two swords in your local gym that are hanging
sure, yeah, obviously all those normal things. Look out for lawn-sized Jenga. Yeah. That can't be in the book. How did she know about that? Who told her we're doing that now?
It's just you got to learn to look for the things that would be funny if they happen. And if you know that, then you know what the Final Destinationing is going to be.
That's a good point.
If in her, like, Iris would never be at the barbecue, but if she was, the moment the first glass breaks, she's like, "Stop it! Everyone stop!" Like, full, like, check everything, right? Like, she is paying attention to her surroundings.
I mean, I think she would look around and go, "Look, all this wind, somebody's gonna get killed by it," because that's what gets her in this scene too, kind of.
Just sort of. So let me describe the full phase of this Final Destinationing that happens at the barbecue, because it's a good one. So a glass breaks. Which mostly gets cleaned up, except one big shard of glass is left in with the ice. It ends up gets put in a drink.
Which, like, this is bartending 101. Don't do this. Like, insane. And I love how much every character sips their drink like they're drinking Coca-Cola in a Coca-Cola commercial. Just like, glug, 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 glug. And then all of them go, and then go on. And then that's really funny.
And then Uncle Howard proves that he deserves death by chewing his ice like a psychopath.
Yeah, that is important.
With the glass crunchy sounds, like, like the movie wants to think he's like chewing on glass, like, that's some good glass I'm chewing on.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Let's see. Darlene, who is Steffi and Charlie's mom, notices that a rake is under the trampoline, so she props that up against the fence where it should be. The trampoline starts ripping because there's just too much good jumping going on. And then I forget what starts off the like pump.
The beer
the
can
beer.
falling. Yeah.
Right. A beer bottle gets knocked over when I think when somebody like falls through the trampoline because it rips.
I think it's when the
that.
mom is like, that rake is bad. I think that makes somebody go, oh, and then I think that's
right. So yeah, because the beer bottle knocks over, it turns on this like pump that starts pumping air, which is like this huge long hose that goes into a junk storage near where the rake got put. So things start moving there. So that then when someone falls through the trampoline and gets hurt, Uncle Howard gets off the trampoline and like goes to like get something to help them. But somebody, when they fell, the person with the glass in their drink spills their drink and leaves the glass.
I think the Jenga tower knocks the drink over, if I'm right.
The Jenga tower.
I believe that's correct.
So they knock over the Jenga tower, which spills the drink, which leaves the shard of glass sticking straight up on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness me.
So Uncle Howard walks and steps right on it, goes clean through his foot. And he like yells in pain and falls over at the exact moment that the pump like shifts enough that it knocks over the rake. The rake hits the start button on his gas-powered mower, which immediately like lurches forward and like rears up so it lands perfectly. The rotor's on his face, just completely chews up his face. He's dead.
Insane.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was in most of the trailers. I think this was like the main
this
trailer. And I think that's
tattoo
fun.
parlor scene were the big trailers.
Yeah. And that's great. I like this one.
Mm-hmm. So now
at one point I was gonna say it seems like the characters know that there's a hole in the trampoline and they're like, don't go on that side of the trampoline. Like even after she takes the rake out, they tell them not to do it. But then it's like, don't jump on the trampoline if you know it's broken. Like it's gonna make it worse. It's like, of course it's gonna eventually give in. What are you talking about? Also,
if you're in a Final Destination situation, just don't have a trampoline at all.
Oh yeah, I mean these things are death traps. In real life, I'm pretty sure trampolines are like right up there with pools in terms of like things that do actually kill kids at backyards. I'm pretty sure the daughter's cheating at Jenga, and that's why this all really happens. Is because she is distracted by the guy jumping through the trampoline, which causes her to stop physically holding up the entire Jenga thing with her body, as if this is a winning Jenga strategy to not have it fall over. Like, if she had not done this and just let the Jenga happen, everything would have been fine. So she deserves something, if to be fair.
Well, maybe she'll get it later, Nando.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps.
Anyway, hard cut to another funeral. Everyone's sad, but Steffi's like, I gotta talk to you. And she lays out all the Final Destination that Iris told her about. She tells them about all the people who died. She's put together the timeline with all the obituaries and is like, so here's the Final Destinationing, which means we're all going to start dying because we're on the chopping block, starting with Eric, Howard's oldest son. And nobody believes her. They're all like, you're crazy. Or they get mad at her.
Well, I want to say the one brother does, not her brother, but the cousin
Bobby.
Does seem like he's kind of on board. Yeah,
he's like kind of into it.
I appreciate
Bobby
it.
seems a little worried.
Mm-hmm.
And if it were me and somebody had assembled hundreds of obituaries of people who died in like cartoon accidents and all of them had been at one event, like I might not think death is real and he's coming for you, but I'd be like, that is weird.
I think if you're, and I guess this depends on if they believe Steffi or not, or Stephanie, but if she told me the story of how grandma died, I'd be like, oh my God, you're telling me she stepped right out of the house and then the weather vane fell onto a thing that shot it through her face? Of course this is happening. She has a picture of weather vane and she can't have planned that. Because again, these characters in these movies think like death is so random. And it's like, no, this is not, there's a difference between like random and like, I don't know, these Rube Goldberg machines. Also, I'd like to believe that the grandma had a Google alert set for like Rube Goldberg machine death or something at a certain point, because she starts collecting all of these stories of the other Final Destinations that happened as Google started existing. And that'd be super handy for this, right? Like freak accident, derailment,
Yeah. Otherwise, how are you looking in a pre-Google era?
Yeah.
Like I don't even library.
You just get every newspaper.
around the country and then look through all the obituaries and judge whether it seems like that, because also most of them probably wouldn't like in these movies, they wouldn't read as crazy as they happen, because after the fact you just go, I guess the tanning bed's exploded, but if you were there you'd be like, no, a lot more stuff happened. So like, how would that get on your radar at all?
No, I think all the obituaries do say things like was bisected in a tragic mini golf windmill accident.
Yeah, seriously. And then like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty cool that she did this and has all this shit in the pre-internet age, most of it.
It's really impressive when you think about it.
It's
so
tough.
Good job, Grandma Iris. Anyway, no one believes her, but Steffi's really freaked out and is like trying to keeps getting in touch with Eric to make sure he's okay. He starts ignoring her. He's working the tattoo parlor tonight.
Oh yeah, can you describe Eric for the people?
Eric is classic punk. He's got like a nose ring, a bunch of piercings, tattoos, like stubbly face, moppa black hair, like very punk goth sort of aesthetic.
How old do you think this character is?
Probably in his mid to late 20s.
I would guess that too. Yeah, he seems much older than the other ones, but I don't think we ever get told exactly how much older. But yeah, that's strange.
Mm-hmm. And then it's time for another final destination. His boss makes him work late and close, even though his dad literally just died like that day. Which typical boss shit, if you ask me.
And closing up early is like one of the main causes of Final Destination. If your boss is ever like, be in the store by yourself, that means it's gonna fall and everything's gonna explode.
Especially a place like a tattoo parlor full of sharp objects and like flammable materials.
Yep.
Better than the hardware store from 3.
Yep, better than the hardware store.
I think it's,
I'll give you that.
A little bit harder to get there.
So he blasts his sad mix because he's sad about his dad, and he makes a tattoo that says dad for himself. All the while, the fan is like dislodging a chain that's hanging from the ceiling for no reason.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And
for aesthetics, so it can be a cool grungy place.
Yeah.
Gonna have chains and shit. Or maybe it's to get Scrooge, to make Scrooge scared about stuff. I have some chains to rattle. You never know.
Exactly. Well, a jar falls over, a jar full of needles. So he goes over to clean that up. But when he does, the chain like breaks off the ceiling and falls down and precisely latches onto his nose ring.
Incredible.
No.
And now the chain is being circled around by the fan. So it's, getting curled up and like pulling on him. So he has to like desperately try to unhook it before it rips out of his nose, and he's like climbing up on stuff to make sure that doesn't happen. So at one point he stands on top of the glass like counter, but it can't take his weight, so it breaks and a bunch of stuff falls off, including what is it that sets the fire?
I don't know what that is.
Gosh. Chemical that they use for
tattooing. Well, I know the disinfectant is like what, makes the fire spread, but what starts the fire?
Oh, man.
I don't know. Is it just like, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Is he smoking
lighter or something?
Probably not.
Sure.
Yeah, something like that.
It falls on the floor and like a disinfectant had fallen over and started pooling on the floor, which then gets set on fire, so the whole tattoo parlor is burning while he's still getting his nose pulled up. So he is desperately working on it, like standing up on a chair. He manages to get it loose and he's free, even though the place is on fire. He's still got to get out of there, but he's relieved. But it turns out that the chain pulling on the fan has like been pulling it out of the ceiling, and now as he kind of like starts to fall, so he grabs onto the chain and that fully uproots, like pulls out the fan like goes swinging, knocks him over directly onto the broken glass and fire.
No.
And then
He's surely dead.
Yeah, he must be. We cut right to Steph the next morning, haven't not heard from him and really worried about him. So she forces Charlie to come with her to check on him. And on the way there, they hear the tattoo parlor burn down. And they're like, oh no. And they're so distracted by this news that they almost hit Eric.
What?
Yeah, it turns out
he died off screen.
Well, it turns out, Nando, he didn't. He was wearing a leather jacket, which mostly protected him from the fire. So he just got up and got out.
Wow. Hey, coin flip.
Yeah.
This may be too far. How we saw a lot of fire around him. I don't know how he just fucking walked out of there. And B, hey, Death, what was this for? What was this gag for? Why
Death
are you fucking
didn't
with
know
us?
the thing that if we find out, because Death wasn't watching the movie at the same time as we were.
You sure?
I think that's part of it.
I'm not so convinced.
I think it said this guy's name is Eric, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Eric, I was skeptical before. Maybe I didn't die in this, but the fact that it happened is so clearly part of everything that's going on, right? Like, you saw your dad get exploded by the big lawnmower thing, and then the hook tried to eat you, and then also the whole thing. Like, there's just no way you would be like, nah, see, there's nothing really happening. We can all survive all these big explosions and death traps and stuff. Like, you'd be like, I guess they are happening. Maybe I survived mine, but like, that was crazy that it happens. He doesn't even care. And, you know, he is the token character in these who thinks he's better than death and nothing could kill him. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's extra weird because one of these happens to him and he still doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah, but he lived through it. So he's talking a big game now. Like you said, he's all like, I'm invincible. He also almost does the classic, walk backwards into the street and then a car hits you.
Yep.
But the car doesn't hit him.
Oh.
And he's like, see, I'm invincible. But Steffi's trying to convince him, like, no, it's still dangerous. You have to stay away from things. Like that tree cutter right there could fall and startle that guy with the leaf blower, who would then blow air into these kids playing soccer's face, and then they could kick a soccer ball into your face.
But how would that kill a man?
I know, it's ridiculous.
There's just no way.
There's no way. And I'm like, why wouldn't the tree trimmer just fall on him? That could kill him.
Yeah. Well, hey,
it's
she
not
knows it's got to be a
enough.
couple
Come
of
on.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, Eric's like, that's stupid. And so they're going, the garbage man, by the way, with a big old dump truck coming down the street.
Yeah, one of those cool ones, which I do not. They don't have those in my neighborhood. Do you have them? Like, have you ever seen one of those?
No, man.
Like the big robot arm and shit? And with the arm that picks the thing up.
Yeah,
and
not
puts
even the arm that
itself
picks up
in
the garbage. Like, nah, man.
I have seen
Yeah. Oh.
Mine is just like we all have non-standard trash cans, and it's just like the garbage men just like open our trash cans.
Some
and take
guys.
out all the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
No,
it's for this exact reason.
I have seen dump trucks that do the pickup and just dump.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, these people clearly live in like a hoity-toity, like, you know, like
Part of New Jersey.
town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be near Homedale. That's where the Jersey Shore people live.
That's true.
It's got some money.
Mm-hmm. If only. If only all the garbage cans started eating all the people in Homedale.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No. I come from Hazlitt, so if you're from that area, you know. Fuck Homedale.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Julia is going out for her run, and she's like, "You still on about the death thing? It's stupid." And she starts jogging, and in the background,
these people, you saw what happened. You were there for one of them, and then he had one that I'm sure he explained to you earlier too today. What more do you need?
While they're continuing to try to convince Eric, the thing that Steffi predicted happens. The tree trimmer falls, the leaf blower guy gets startled, the kids kick the soccer ball, they hit Julia in the face. She tumbles backwards into a garbage can right before it gets picked up by the dump truck and dumps her in the truck.
Oh my
I
god.
love this shot of all of it happening in like one unedited little bit. It's so fun.
Yeah, in the background, that was really good.
Yeah.
And so obviously she starts screaming, so they all notice, and they're like running after the truck, like, stop, there's a girl in there. But the driver's too busy jamming the fuck out to Stronger while
by Kelly
swiping
Clarkson.
through Tinder.
Hell yeah.
But it was called like something else, like Crusher.
It was Crusher.
Crusher.
Because it's a crush. Yeah, it's a crushing machine. I want to say the tattoo parlor also had a name that was like this.
Okay.
It was like Death Tattoo. It wasn't that, but it was something else. Everything in these movies is about death, even things that are innocuous.
Even the dating apps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's not listening to them. Steffi like climbs up to try to pull Julia out, but they don't get there in time. The guy doesn't realize in time. She is crushed to death with her head and arms outside of the dump truck. So Steffi pulls her arm out and is just holding it.
So good.
Yeah.
Head crushed in half. Like you watch her skull get smushed off.
Wild. Yeah, it's so good. It's bad.
Quick coin flip here. Hey, did they no stops in between the sister getting just like thrown into the trash compactor, and then it was the end of the street, right? There's like
he drives a lot.
Other stops. Yeah. Like
it's a good point.
Seems unlikely. Anyway, Nando.
Also, my question is, so these crusher things, I can't imagine they crush everything to like an inch of thickness, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like I think. I'm not saying this is what I would have. I'm not saying everybody should do this.
Here's how Nando would have defeated the garbage.
It seems like you just hang out in there and wait until it's done crushing, because it's probably not going to crush it to be smaller than you. Like I just don't know. I don't know what the strategy is, but it seems like trying to get out was bad because it exploded her. But I'm wondering, like, would it have only crushed her? So she was like, because like in the trash compactor scene in Star Wars, right? Like. There's a lot of space. They could have just hung out there but only because it fully closes. But I'm pretty sure the garbage can doesn't do that. Like, it can't. But then where does the garbage go? How do those work? Someone call in.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how this garbage truck was apparently designed by Tesla, because it has no ability to sense when it's like, I should stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen. It's pretty good. I don't think we saw this, by the way. I wanted to not point this out, but like this is a full rewatch thing. I would love it if the newly singled mom was on the app on Grindr. Husband got lawnmower 2 days ago, and she's right back on the horse, baby.
Well,
it's got to figure something out.
Well, we learn in the very next scene, Nando.
Yeah.
Because Steffi's like, you see, we're Final Destinationing, but I don't know why Eric was skipped. And then the mom is like in tears, like, I also believe in Final Destinationing now. Because Eric was skipped because he's not Howard's biological son. I had an affair. So he's not actually related to Iris.
And because Final Destination was bullshit until just now, I was kind of hoping I could just never tell anyone this, and I think it'd be good.
Just wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And apparently the guy that it is, they all hate or something. That's pretty funny. That's why, like, this movie never stops being a comedy.
Right?
Do you remember what he says as they're leaving this conversation?
It's like, is that why he always wanted to play catch with me?
Yeah, that's so funny. And then, do you remember what his mug said? He was holding a mug with a slogan or like words printed on it during the scene that were. I mean,
remember this.
Oh, show me your kitties.
Show me your kitties. Yeah, call back to Final Destination 3. I have to assume. Nobody in this house has cats. Also, cats do not appear to be a part of this family, so...
You can't have a cat around when Final Destinationing is happening. Cats will do any random thing.
Hell yeah. It's almost too easy. That's the thing. Cats are kind of anti-death, because every time something knocks over, they just run over to it, and Death is like, the fucking cat touched it, and I do something else. And then tries to knock over another thing, and then the cat goes and investigates it, and it's like, God damn it. And, yeah. So part of the death plan would have to be like knocking over a fresh box of treats or something, to trick the cat.
Yeah, now everybody believes in Final Destinationing except for Steffi and Charlie's dad, a fact that is never important, and he barely shows up. He doesn't show up again until the final scene.
I was really curious about this because I was like, well, what's this guy gonna do? He says on like off screen, I'm gonna go for a walk, and then just leaves the movie forever. So weird.
Yeah, he goes for a walk right out of the movie.
Yeah, I can't imagine they ADR'd that in because he was in scenes and they just cut him. So like, I don't know, maybe they were like, nobody's gonna give a shit what happens to the dad, and all the screenings were like, but where did that? But and he's being a real piece of shit at this point. But also, like, this has got to be his worst nightmare of like, mom comes back and the Final Destinationing was real. Like,
yeah, it turns out the thing that you thought she was crazy for and like destroyed your marriage, she was actually 100% right about the whole time.
Yep. But where are they gonna go? What's the plan?
Well, Steffi remembers that Iris said that JB found someone who beat Final Destinationing. But at no point does she ever in these notes explain who JB is or who that person is.
Yeah, seems like it would be something that would be handy from the notes.
Yeah, but so they're like, who's JB? And then they remember that he works at a hospital for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's in the notes or something.
Or the daughter remembers or something.
Right.
Oh,
Darlene
or maybe that.
remembers.
Yeah, Darlene. Yeah. Right, because they're in Darlene's like Winnebago now, which is the new like vehicle.
Not when they're figuring this out, but then they figure out the hospital that he works at, which is only an hour away. So they get into Darlene's Winnebago to go there. But Bobby at first they're like, Bobby, don't come with us. But he's like, there's so many ways you can die in a house. Final destinations can happen anywhere. Now, so I have to come with you. Also, he has a deadly peanut allergy.
That's important. Yeah, this has been mentioned a couple of times. I do want to point out, so now the geography of these actually does kind of make sense. The third movie is the one that I think we have the most freedom with, but in fact, it doesn't matter because we found out that one's in Pennsylvania, right? Like we determined. But like all of these movies now have to be within driving distance of this hospital because all the kids end up there. Or the coroner's office or something. But like, it doesn't seem like he's moved because that's, the information they have from olden times, right? Like if the mom knows that, then that hasn't changed since then. So yeah, all the Final Destinationings should happen in or around New Jersey. And that's great. Cool. I don't think that holds up even a little bit because one of them takes place near the Golden Gate Bridge, but it should be in New Jersey. Yeah, they should go there.
Maybe JB moved around. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe in the Final Destination verse, after we built our Space Needle, we built the Golden Gate Bridge. We're just going crazy. This is that kind of Jersey City. You ever like if you're ever on those like subreddits, like, oh, Bill, they approved a new tower, and you're like, that's never gonna get built. And it's like, no, it's a big giant. This casino is gonna be right on the Hudson River. There's no way in this universe, all those things got made. It's awesome.
That's the main maybe difference besides the Final Destinationing.
Maybe 9/11 didn't happen in the Final Destination. Well, no, it had to.
No, it
is. Referenced in 3.
Right, it's referenced in 3. Otherwise, I would think like plane safety, maybe because of 1, would have changed the way, but the terrorists still found their way around it.
Well, that was just like engine failure, right? They wouldn't change security measures.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, they drive to the hospital, being very careful. Eric decides to come with them. After he throws the peanut butter out of the Winnebago so Bobby doesn't die.
And Eric is valuable because, like Eric said, he is invincible. Nothing can kill him.
He's not in the Final Destination.
Eric solidifying himself as a cool guy in these scenes. Like he's a brother who cares. So,
and he still hits his brother's nuts. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he gives a nut check.
Also, he looks nothing like his brother. I wouldn't really want to bring this up, but this was obvious to me the whole movie. But now it's like, oh my God, that's what that was. It's very clever. Because everybody else, the other 2 siblings are so blonde and so tan, and he is just totally not. He really does just look like Tommy Lee, but pretty cool.
They make it there, and in one of my favorite scenes, everyone's super freaked out by the revolving door. Bobby,
So funny.
like they give it the full like long treatment of Bobby trying to get through the revolving door. He makes it through okay, and everyone is like going up to him like, "Wow, good job! Yeah, you did it. You're okay." I was like, to anyone watching that, they'd be like, "What's wrong with that kid? Why are they so worried about him?"
They even also, as they're walking up to the revolving door, form like a little human shield around him, like a bubble of protection,
Secret Service,
just in case, and that's also really handy because, so, and like a lot of the times, the Final Destination, like you were saying, the plane could just fall out of the sky and crush you. A Rube Goldberg machine, you don't need to see the Rube Goldberg machine happen to be killed by it. So anything could just fall off the top of this building and crush this guy's head and just fine. Like, so, but I guess they know now because death hates them specifically. It wants to fuck with them. So like, if it's going to do something, they're going to see it coming. And that's great.
So they go down to the morgue because that's where JB is, according to the front desk. And they find him. Why, it's Tony Todd, William Bloodworth, I believe is his character's name.
Yeah, William John Bloodworth or something like that. The J is whatever his middle initial is.
He reveals that his name is William John Bloodworth. That's why he's JB to his friends. Or he's John William Bloodworth? I don't know.
Whatever. Has he always been named something Bloodworth in these? Or is this something that just came up?
I think maybe he didn't get the name in the first one, but he has been Bloodworth before.
Insane that's his name in these. And his mom was trying to be a lounge singer, but she didn't change it. She's like, on the ones and two, like, the backup dancers, we got, Sabrina Fun and Jennifer Bloodworth or whatever. Like,
well, she might have been using a stage name. That doesn't mean you change your legal name.
That's true. I guess you wouldn't necessarily change the whole name. You should change it. But pretty sick.
Yeah. He's there and he's like, yeah, I've seen a lot of Final Destinations. Also, I'm the little boy that your mom saved. Have you ever figured that out yet? We were good friends and we
flick
talked.
The coin. Flick, land. It's his favorite train. Everybody that goes to that autopsy table, why did he bring a toy train to the autopsy? So that he can roll it right down the table and it can transition seamlessly to that very day. But like a really weird thing to have at your desk at work. And something that I'm sure people ask about all the time. And he's like, it's from, you know what? It's too much to explain. You know that old lady that I keep calling on the phone that we had to sneak out those cancer drugs for or whatever. Remember we drove the x-ray machine over to that one lady's house. I assume it was kind of related to her. But yeah. Really slick transition, but insane that he has the train there.
I feel like in every other Final Destination movie, he was waiting for someone to be like, how do you know all this? Or like, what happened to you? And he was like, oh, I'm ready with this train.
Yeah, like under the desk, right as they were talking, he was getting the train out of his bag. And then they left and he's, oh, never mind. And he spun it around himself a little bit. One of these days.
Well, I'm glad he got it before he died.
Yep.
Because he also has cancer. He's also dying.
Which is why I think it's Death's manager. I think Death's manager gives cancer, and then Death is the funky little art house kid who like wants to do all the Rube Goldberg machines. But if you take too long with those, cancer just does. That's cool.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So he tells them there's only two ways to beat it, both of which appeared in previous Final Destination movies. One is you could kill somebody and then you get their remaining lifespan. Don't ask about...
Now, I don't know which Final Destination movie that is from. Is it 5?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that is what that guy thought he was doing. That's true. Part of me thought that guy was just killing people in front of him in line to kind of cut the line, but you're right. He was trying to do that. I thought he got it from Yellow Jackets or something.
Nope, this is where he learns it. So that's one way to do it, but Bobby's like, I don't want to kill anybody. So Bloodworth says the other way is if you briefly die but are resuscitated, that tricks death and it stops all Final Destinations. Like the ones after you don't happen either.
As if Death is the biggest nitpicker. Like, he technically died. So
Death has a manager and he shows him the paperwork and he goes, see, they died. And then Cancer goes, all right, checking it off, moving right along. I don't know why Death wants to let you get off on this, but it's just, I mean, maybe Death just respects the hustle. Or maybe Death doesn't know. Maybe Death is like, he did die for at least 1 whole second, and that's good enough for me.
I don't keep track of people who re-come alive. I'm like, did you die? Boom, I'm done. The Death is very lazy that way.
Well, Death is so busy. Death has to take care of literally every person who has ever existed. So,
true.
like, the second it looks like his job's done, he's out of there.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, then...
And this is from 2, I believe. These are the people in Final Destination 2. That
one
were kind of mad that they didn't show up in this movie because they do manage to sneak through.
Well,
those characters are presumably still alive.
They're like, there must be some other way. Tony Todd's like, no, there isn't. Goodbye. And then he turns around and he gets to say his last little monologue where he's like, try to make the most of your life because it's, life's cool and you gotta live it, which is Tony Todd's last words to his fans. I actually think this is a nice little tribute.
Insane. Like, just what a fucking unbelievable, if every actor got to do that, just like every actor, their last role was their character's last, like, and this would be the perfect time to kill them too in the movie. Like, this character wouldn't survive past this moment anyway, because of the way, like, you know what I mean? Like, they had to have had a script where this character was dying already, right? Because the bloodline would have to get him next. And then it just turns out he does die. And it's insane. It's so crazy.
Is this kind of like a Chadwick Boseman Marvel?
Well, this would be like, this would be like if Chadwick Boseman died in a Black Panther movie. And as he was dying, he said, it's been an honor being Black Panther. I love all you people that love Black Panther. All right, I'm going to go die now.
Well, when they filmed this, he knew he was dying.
Yes, yeah. That's the craziest part. So it would
be like if after Chadwick Boseman had come out about his diagnosis, if they were in the middle of filming a Black Panther movie. And so they built in a moment where he could be like, even if Black Panther dies, everything's still cool. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, and it's insane how well it works in this movie. And it's why you're kind of like, don't make more, but also they should make more because this one was really fun. And, might as well. This is why I want a period piece set in like the 1700s or something where George Washington gets something. That'd be fun. Hit by a big wooden stick.
So they're all sad because there's not a good way to beat it, except Eric thinks... He said the thing about if you die momentarily, then that works. So we should try to do that.
Oh.
So he and Bobby sneak off because they're going to take advantage of Bobby's peanut allergy to, temporarily kill him. And then because they're in a hospital, get him resuscitated. And, then everything will be fine.
Oh.
So they go to a vending machine to get some peanuts. But Bobby wisely, I think, says,
well, or unwisely,
if I'm gonna be maybe dying, then I want the Reese's. But it's not Reese's, it's some fake movie brand because they couldn't get the licensing deal.
Yeah, I assume Reese's didn't want to, but it should have. It would have been cool. Like, Final Destination is cool,
and also kind of implies that Reese's is worth dying for.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wow, I think it would have been a good brand.
No, and that one bit where he's just like, delicious. That's right out of like the scene where all the Shazam kids are like, these Skittles are making me crazy. They're taming all the unicorns and whatever. But
yeah,
that's Hershey for you. Also Hershey, right? Like Pennsylvania. I don't know. Maybe it would be a local thing, but they should be cool with it.
A lot of opportunities, but it didn't pan out. But Speaking of not panning out, the peanut butter cups don't come out of the vending machine. So Eric punches a window and then rocks it back and forth. And we get a close up on the, like, if you tip a vending machine, it could crush and kill you. And you're like, uh-oh. But Final Destination is like, no. I'm not that simple. So it just like sort of like breaks the spring on the vending machine. So it like juts out. But the peanut butter cups do come out. So they go into a little room. And then
But also like a spring pops out. Like
I said, the
Yeah,
spring comes loose.
Like I assume when it's all out of peanut butter cups, that doesn't like,
yeah, that's weird, right?
Almost eject itself, but that's because they were shaking it.
Yeah, I mean those things don't move at all. They just cause the stuff to move by turning.
Right. Yes.
That's how corkscrews work.
Yeah. Or maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe something else.
But yeah, they go in an empty room, and Eric leaves to go get a wheelchair. But when he leaves, he knocks over some stuff that hits a key that turns on an MRI. Ooh.
Yeah.
And so it starts building in power more and more as they deliberate. Eric comes back with the wheelchair, and they go back and forth for a little while on whether or not to do it. But eventually Bobby eats the peanut butter cup, says it's delicious, starts going into anaphylactic shock. Eric took his EpiPen so he wouldn't instinctively use it. So they're waiting for him to start choking, but as they do, the MRI has reached normal levels of magnetic output and is like manual override if you want to do even more. And at that moment, Eric takes out his phone, and his phone is, because it's made out of metal partially, goes zooming over to the MRI where it hits the touchscreen and somehow activates it.
Yeah. I don't
think that's how it works, but
I don't think it's just a button push. I assume there's like a code, but I guess maybe it is just you just go tap it in.
Maybe. Yeah, so the MRI is like, okay, going over the regular limits to research limits, which
research limits. Boy, we're in suntan lotion or tanning bed category again.
Oh, Nando, you have no idea how tanning bed territory we're in.
Yeah.
Because it keeps going up, and like it starts attracting other stuff in the room, and they're like, what's going on? Like his piercings start to get pulled by it. First his like nose and his earrings, and those come out with like little bits of blood, and he's like, and then his nipple piercings, which he has to like hold down, but then his peebus piercing.
No,
yeah.
So he goes to save that one, and then his nipple ones rip out. I hated this actually. I hate when piercings get ripped out of things.
Well, we don't really see it. That's why it doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I'm with you on that one. But apparently the actor on the day was like, my dick should also have a piercing. And then the directors were like, that's a good idea. And they put it into the thing.
Because everyone who made this movie knew what they were doing.
Exactly. Yeah, they were all on the same page. This does bring up a question, though. So the magnet and him standing there is stronger than his body hanging from the ceiling that was trying to pull the nose ring out. Why does the nose ring go now?
Well, this is the world's strongest magnet, Nando. Apparently, this random hospital in New Jersey has just been hoarding like the most powerful electromagnet ever created. And because it goes past, it's like goes up to the research limit and then is like danger, too much power, but keeps going. Like there's nothing you have to do to make it keep building up to bad levels.
Well, you gotta hit it like I think his phone hits the thing by accident to let it go into overdrive.
Well, that's what lets it go into research level. But then there's a third level of like too much. Right. There's no application for this, but the machine can do it.
If you're trying to like fucking kill Superman or something with like magnet or like get a Terminator, that's what you would use it for. But besides that, there's really no purpose, it seems like, for this much magnetism, especially considering it would start fucking up, and it does kind of, everything else going on at the hospital.
Like, stuff starts getting like pulled to the door because the magnet's so strong it's affecting things. Magnets don't work this way, to be clear. Now, this could not possibly happen.
Right, because it's experimental mode, you need to have a lock. usually they don't, go past experimental mode. But if they did, whoa, that would
This
be
would
bad.
probably, to make a magnet this strong, would take more electricity than the rest of the hospital is using combined.
Wow. That makes sense that it did that. Because
This thing,
they
it would short out the entire grid that this is connected to before it would get this strong.
pretty cool.
Um,
It sounds pretty cool. Also, I feel like I don't want to be a super nitpicker here, but I do feel like there's a lot of metal stuff he has to crawl past to get to his brother.
Oh, yeah.
Like another bed in that room that's just sitting there, just casually. And I think those things have metal in them too, sir. Even if it's at, only 7 Teslas or whatever, that would be enough. Also, is Tesla the unit for this?
yes.
Or did they have to? Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, no, that is correct.
Good for him.
But yeah, so Eric gets pulled to the machine because of all the metal in his body, and he's like trying to avoid getting like his back bent backwards. But then the wheelchair smashes into him and like pierces through his body, and so he just gets like folded back and dies with his spine snapped.
And the parts of the wheelchair come through, like the tattoo on his back, like the poster. It's great.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
So radical.
Bobby, meanwhile, is still choking to death, so he crawls over because Eric's holding the EpiPen in his hand. Crawls over, takes that, uses it, and so he starts able to breathe again. He's like, "Oh, I made it." But as he stands up, a nurse opens the door because she's like, "Why is all the metal stuff going on this door?" And all the knives and scalpels and other stuff flies through the air and doesn't hit Bobby. He's still okay. But then the vending machine, the spring that came loose, shoots out, corkscrews straight through his brain.
Yeah.
Just instant death.
Savage.
Charlie, Stephanie, and Darlene see this and they're like, "Oh, shit."
Next.
And they're like, "I guess Eric kept calling Death a punk ass bitch enough that Death was like, all right, I will kill you."
Yep. Seems like that's all it was.
So they're like, "We got to get out of here. Like, we're going to die. But where's their safe? It's like anywhere can kill you." And they're like, "What about Iris's cabin? That's safe for some reason."
Yeah. Who knows why? Because it has big spikes coming out of it. That's safety.
And Charlie's
That'll
like,
stop all the wind.
Charlie's like, "What? We're just going to live in the cabin forever?" And Darlene's like, no, I will. Because as long as I'm alive, it won't come for you. So you'll get a good, 30, 40 years before you have to worry about this? Which, I guess that's sound logic.
Then you move into the cabins, whatever.
Yeah, we can make the cabin cool. Like, we'll get books or whatever, People can visit you from, the front of the cabin. You don't leave, but, you can look at them.
It just becomes the responsibility of every firstborn in this family when their parent dies.
Right.
They have to go live in the cabin now. Otherwise, everyone starts dying.
And just don't have kids, Be done with and that's the mom, I think, says, I didn't want to have kids, but then I did. Because, I knew it would be bad to bloodline them. But, yeah, if these two just don't have any children, then whatever. Then you're cool.
Yeah.
But you just leave the cabin when you want to die, and then you're not putting a curse on anybody. I mean, you're putting the curse on Tony Todd, I guess. But, by that point, if you're living a long life, he's also probably done.
I do have one logistical question, and maybe we don't have the time to go into this right now, but I feel like I would be remiss without bringing it up. So I'll just do a ching. How come Paul doesn't count?
Which one is Paul?
Paul is Iris's husband. Also the father of all of their children. How come his bloodline doesn't count when it's his turn?
Iris's husband dies before her. So I think he did die long before this movie.
But how come it doesn't go for his children then, if that's how it's supposed to work?
Well, his children are them.
Yeah, but it should go for them next.
Wait. I'm confused. DJ, do you understand this?
I do not.
So
Okay.
everyone who is at the Space Needle is being killed by Death.
Mhm.
If they have kids, then before Death continues with the Space Needle people, it kills their kids in like generation order, right?
I see.
So Paul gets killed by Death because he was there, and he died way before Iris in the chain of events.
Right.
How come it doesn't go after his kids?
So I think the explanation that I would give in for the movie is it has to kill because according to the rules of our nation, you know, the fetus in her is alive. Not only does she die in that moment, but like she is not the last to die. Her unborn, you know, the fetus inside of her that has been fertilized at this point does count as a person in the chain now. So that's why they, although I guess that would only be her brother.
That would only save Howard, not Darlene.
Yeah.
I think Howard would still.
Howard would say Darlene because he's first in the chain. So
I think the first in the chain still has to go before the other one. Yeah. That's my best guess.
Death just had to make a judgment call here, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, Death believes that life begins at conception, personally. Which is funny because it's Death that believes that, but hey, you know, what are you going to do? Especially 50s and 60s Death.
No longer in his realm, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Death knows that. And yeah, I think because Death can't kill a younger sibling, even if technically, based on the way the line works, they should be killed first. If the other sibling was at the thing, I guess is the explanation. But it's a tricky one. Also,
anyway.
Since we're kind of at it, the hospital, I just want to point out, I don't know. So Diggins, you probably didn't see too many of these trailers for this movie. You try to not watch trailers, right?
I mean, I saw them for other movies.
Okay. DJ, did you recognize anything missing from this movie?
I didn't. I didn't see a lot of trailers before this movie.
Okay.
There was a revolving door death in the trailers.
Yeah. The mom dies in the revolving door in the trailers. But they cut that out because they wanted the mom to be at the finale.
Right.
Or maybe they just didn't like the way it worked. So they reshot the whole finale with the mom there and cut that bit out. So all the bit with the thing, with the revolving door foreshadowing is actually foreshadowing in the first draft of the script, but in the second draft of the script, it just becomes a joke, which I think is crazy, you know?
Okay.
I mean, I like it as a joke, so I don't
I
think
do
it's a
too.
bad
Yeah.
change.
And those things are like, you're like, oh, it's going to kill me especially when you're a kid, you kind of like treat it like you're, you know, in like James Bond kind of. So, yeah.
Anyway, so they drive off. They almost get hit by a truck that's carrying logs.
Truck of logs.
But they don't, and they make it safely because Steffi's driving. They make it safely to the cabin, but Steffi can tell, Death's about to make his move. There's wind.
Yeah.
That's Death's calling card.
So she rams down the gate so that they can get over to the cabin, but her seatbelt gets stuck. And then when Darlene and Charlie run over to the cabin, they see, Death, that tricky son of a bitch. He had the rope that got partially burned by magnifying glass sunlight has finally frayed enough that it falls. Meanwhile, sparks from a like malfunctioning light lit some garbage in the gutters on fire.
Yeah.
And then like a cinder from that floats into the house right as the flower pot that was being held up by the rope falls, like knocks off the knob of an oven, sending gas out. And then the cinder ignites the gas. The whole cabin explodes.
So
Darlene,
wait, you had a gas stove in your super undeath cabin?
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's a
not
good
like
point.
a wood stove or something. Like, I know it's silly, but like, yeah, no, duh. The whole thing's gonna explode one of these days. Also, a Winnebago could just break through your barrier. What the fuck is the point of the gate then? I assume you're trying to stop the army from getting in there or something. Like, so I guess maybe she made it badly because she's just one person with the help of Tony Todd, it seems like. But yeah, I was like, well, you can't get in because there's a wall, but then you can break through it. Pretty good.
maybe Death can be kept out by chain link.
Yeah, that's possible.
And so the only reason all this happens is because they knock down the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Could be.
It could be.
Anyway, so Darlene closes the door, but they still get caught in the explosion, and the explosion also knocks the Winnebago over, and it falls into some water nearby, which starts filling up the Winnebago. Steffi's still caught by the seatbelt. She can't get out. She's drowning. Meanwhile, Charlie's stuck under some rubble. It looks like Darlene is dead. She's also like lying down. Her face is all burned. But then she gets up. She's still alive, even though she's got bad burns. She lifts up the rubble so Charlie can get out. And she's like, don't worry, Charlie, I'm still alive. Go help your sister. I'll stay alive as long as And then she gets hit by a telephone pole and dies.
So good.
Yep.
So funny.
Mm-hmm. Just some rough luck, but also
it's like, I'll stay alive as long as I can. Boom. Like, so good.
And they do have that moment where she's in when Stephanie's in the truck. And she's like, I'm stuck. And then they're like, go help her. And she's like, no. As long as you're in a house, I'm fine. And like, they have figured out if they can protect the mom, none of them are in any danger. So I like that the movie's like, oh, right. Fuck, kill her. And then I'm going to go to do you.
I forgot I have an order. God damn it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you were exploded. Okay, cool.
So Charlie dives into the water. He finds a knife and starts trying to cut open the seatbelt. But it's hard. Seatbelts are made of tough material. He cuts his finger. That doesn't really matter, but he does it. He drops the knife briefly. He picks it back up. And we see Steffi still in the water as everything fades to black. Oh no. And then boom, light again because Charlie resuscitates her. He gave her CPR. So which is not what you do when someone's drowning. Even though that's what they do in all the movies. That's not it.
Yeah. What do you do? Smack him in the face? Wake up! Is that?
Well, CPR is only for if your heart stopped.
And
also, it doesn't like revive a person. It's just to keep them alive until they can get medical attention.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's they don't like, oh God. Yay, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. It always seems like they're doing CPR to make them cough up a big piece of water that's like in their throat. You know,
that's how everyone depicts drowning. It's not even remotely how drowning works. Anyway, they're like, oh, you died for a second, but now you're alive. That means it's over. And they're all happy. We cut to a week later. Charlie's taken his date to prom. He talked about it at the start of the movie. They're like doing the whole like, taking pictures outside the house thing. The dad has back in the movie now. And he's like, that was weird.
He got back from his walk.
I'm glad you guys are all right. And then the date's dad is just a real pedantic asshole.
Helpful pedantic asshole though when you really get down to it,
because he's like, oh, I hear Charlie saved your life, and he's like, yeah, I was dead and he brought me back, and he's like, well, you weren't technically dead. I mean, your heart didn't stop. That's not how drowning works.
Did her heart never stopped?
No, I don't think so. I think because she just went unconscious, right? I think
she stopped breathing. Which doesn't stop your heart until it fills your brain full of carbon dioxide and you die.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Like,
so I thought this guy like was Death. I really did. I'm like, oh, Death's here. It is like a person. Like, you thought you could get away from me, you motherfucker.
Well, they dropped the penny in the hospital parking lot where it was picked up by a sweet old lady. And now that sweet old lady sees a lemonade stand and she opens up her little coin purse, takes out some coins, but she drops the penny.
Oh.
And it goes
my God.
Skipping perfectly down the stairs, through a fence, flies through the air, lands in some train tracks, wedging in between the when they change train tracks, how there's those little parts of them that can move from one to the other. Wedges in those so it doesn't finish. Those are definitely strong enough to crush a penny, but whatever.
Under normal circumstances, but not under these circumstances.
But not in Final Destinations, you're right.
No, not even a little.
And the train comes by, and I like that they tried to justify the penny derailing a train thing, because we all already know that that's not real. So they had it like wedge in the changing tracks instead.
Yeah.
But that does derail the train. It comes crashing through. Steffi and Charlie are like, let's get out of here, and they start running. They somehow outrun the crashing train
barreling toward them.
And what must crush, like, the houses around them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge.
Way more people died. Death is usually more economical than this.
Yeah, it's a lot of collateral with this one.
And they're like, oh, we made it, but then the train was hauling logs.
Yeah.
Death's favorite thing.
Death's favorite, yeah.
And they come flying out and just smush them. First Steffi, then Charlie. Everybody's dead. End of the movie.
Stephanie goes before the log thing. Oof, that was close. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's your commentary right now? That was close.
Right?
You think you're in the clear?
You were smart before, right? What if it explodes?
Yeah.
You know, it's probably the logs flying out of it. It's a little hard to believe, but just like other shit happening is definitely still on the table. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I think it's great that they died and got crushed by logs, but she lost a lot of IQ points, I guess, while she was unconscious.
I mean, brain damage does happen when you're not breathing.
Yeah, so I guess that explains it. Yeah, so she's dead. Brother's dead. Dad's dead, right? Obviously, he didn't make it.
I mean, we don't see that, but like, there's no way.
Yeah, if he was close, if they were all close enough to get crushed by this, then so was he.
That whole prom situation's done.
Yeah, everybody in that family's completely destroyed.
Everyone in that block is dead.
Yeah. I think it's so funny that Aunt Belinda survives. Her life is fucking destroyed.
Oh my God.
She's 3 kids within a day. Her 3 kids, her dad, or her husband. And then a bunch of other people that she doesn't really care about. And then her niece sister-in-law doesn't really know.
Her sister-in-law.
Niece, nephew, sister-in-law. Yeah, everybody dies. Just
all she has is like brother-in-law. It's like, maybe we should just get together now.
Well, like they're nothing now.
Yeah, they're nothing.
Not related, and like their spouses were related to each other. Their relationship now is nothing.
And like, I don't want to, get on Death's like list by just sticking around any of these fools. I'm moving across the country and never touching any of this again. Also, she watches her husband get exploded, right? And the thing falls on him. Then I guess she like gets a call or someone yells, "Hey, by the way, the garbage truck ate your daughter." Then the next day she gets a call from a hospital that I assume she doesn't think is from these guys. She's probably like, "Oh no," but she's like, "No, the MRI machine killed both of your sons, even the one that doesn't count." Like, this character, just the most tragic character I think in the history of cinema. I just can't even. And she had all this stuff, and just because she lied about the affair, kind of all her fault when you really think about it. So gotta be able to blame it on a woman somehow, otherwise it's not a Final Destination movie.
That's right.
That's the rules, baby.
Well, at least no women die for being girly in this one.
No,
and we don't get to look at their breasts before they die either.
Yeah, thank God.
That's true.
No one's breasts in this movie, luckily.
Yeah.
Nary a titty to be seen.
Or kitty.
Which is a shame, because maybe that's what the people love. I don't know. Did this do well at the box office? I know the reviews were very good, but did it like make a dent? I didn't really check yet.
I don't know. Let me check.
Right, it's probably not an amazing sign.
It's not necessarily a bad sign. It just means it probably didn't like blow up.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell how much this cost even to make.
Yeah, these horror movies, like they're just like, we can make a little bit of money, we're good.
It made $51 million last week, and that's probably a good chunk of its budget, if not all of its budget.
You guys think they're gonna make another one?
I think they should, but if they decided not to, I would understand.
Huge success, Nando.
Yeah.
Budget of $50 million, box office so far $111 million.
There you go. Yeah.
Could we do Final Destination Origins?
I do think, yeah,
Back
do
to
a period
caveman
piece.
times.
I don't know about caveman times, but maybe. I mean, caveman times would be funny. If
Or
they just
like,
get
I don't know, medieval
grunts.
times. Just pick.
Yeah, medieval times I would love.
Yeah.
Like
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, not enough people do the Evil Dead route of like movie, mostly the same movie, medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do it.
I want to see the one that ends with Lincoln's assassination.
Yeah,
which we know is kind of connected to these.
What if he figures out Final Destination?
I want to see the one that ends in 9/11
with like with the hijackers, like a little table that something falls on the table and opens up a book and they see the Twin Towers. Like, I never thought about it like that before. Excuse me, country of Saudi Arabia, can you give us all the things we need for this or whatever?
While the person at the pilot school is like doing the background check, a like lamp falls on the keyboard and accidentally deletes all the incriminating information.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yeah, George Bush gets handed his Osama bin Laden determined to attack America next week briefing, and then a coffee spills on his lap and he throws it and it falls into the shredder. Something. And it's just like, man, we'll never know.
Oh, man.
One other thing real quick. I didn't mention, because he mentioned the directors of this movie are like the people that directed the Kim Possible movie, which good for them. The writers of this movie wrote a lot of movies that I didn't know. They wrote some of the Stan Against Evil show, which I don't know what that is, but it seems like maybe fun. One of the new Screams. In fact, both of the new Screams, so 2022 and 2023, back before we hated them, which we do now, we hate them. But they wrote those, and those are supposed to be pretty good. Abigail, that movie where the vampire is a little baby or something. And then and then most importantly, Ready or Not, that movie where the house is, killing you with, bullshit. And that feels like this, like watching Ready or Not. You remember Ready or Not?
Yeah, that movie's pretty good.
It's there's a lot of bullshit where like a guy gets startled and then accidentally shoots a harpoon at his, like wife or something. And it's like, that's perfect training for these. The only other thing I want to mention, John Watts, the guy who made the new Spider-Mans, apparently wrote this movie. Like, he didn't direct it, or maybe he produced it, but like, that's cool. He should do this instead, and he will, because he's not doing the next Spider-Man. But yeah. So I bet they make another one. Yeah, pretty cool.
Right. Rooting for medieval times, or maybe some like 18th century bullshit. London, Jack the Ripper.
I do think if you want to, well, I think they should tie it to a specific historical event that is a mystery. Roanoke Colony, Hindenburg. Hindenburg's not really a mystery, but like something like that. Titanic.
Everyone gets Final Destination at the Roanoke Colony. That'd be fun.
I like that.
Yeah, and then it's like that's the inciting incident, and then it turns out all those guys got murdered by, I don't know, the thing falling on they don't have keyboards on their quills, and then the quill flew up into the air, hit the hoopah stick, and the hoopah stick
wind can do a lot. Wind can make stuff happen.
Once you get wind going, and their houses were so wind, like they were not as windproof as they are these days. Wind could just sneak in anyway. So, yeah, I think they need to do something like that. Was there any presidents that died in a really bizarre way? I don't think any.
Zachary Taylor died from eating too much cherries and cream.
He's the cherry guy? All right, yeah, I think that could be, maybe we could work that into it.
James A. Garfield, you could also make a case for. He was shot, but that's not what killed him.
Yeah, that is a fun
What killed
one.
him was then he was laid up in bed, and the doctors that were hired to look after him were the worst doctors in the world, and kept doing unnecessary surgeries and like fucking with him, and he eventually just like got infected and died.
That's Final Destination.
That'll get you. Yeah. I do think the other option is to set the next one in a really specific place, like it just set in Disney World or something. And like I know we already did Roller Coaster, but like kind of the same way that like I'm trying to think video games do this sometimes, where like it's almost like I want an expansion level of just like the film studio version of this, where the cameras knock over the thing. I don't know, but I think they'll make one. I haven't seen any reporting about it, but pretty cool. Yeah. You guys want to get to our classic segment?
Yeah.
I would love that.
All right. DJ, what would you like to recommend to the fine people?
Finally have something that's great, It's something that
Oh.
hasn't been recommended, and it's not bread.
I'm so excited for it to be something that's been recommended.
Yeah, there's
Well,
definitely.
I guess I mentioned it, but I haven't played it, so it doesn't count. But let's talk about this game. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. And I finally got to play it.
Now you're
The one from
circling back
Fortnite?
on that recommendation that you made before and saying this time I've actually played it.
Yeah, and it fucking rules. I was right, was initially right, and it fucking rules. I don't want to say a lot about this game, like in terms of the plot, because I think like knowing less is kind of cool, but like high level, you're like exploring uncharted lands with a group of people, and I'll leave it there.
I mean, I know the high level conceit, which I think is really funny, and I kind of want to say.
Yeah, it's fun.
So the high level conceit is at 66 years ago or whatever, God was like, put a number in the sky and was like, everyone who's this age is going to die. And the number started at 100. And then in the next year it was 99 and then 98. And so every year it's been counting down and everyone who was that age instantly died. So it's gotten all the way down to 33.
Damn.
So you're the intrepid group of 33-year-olds who are like, I don't want to die.
Well, but it's like, well, yeah, you're the intrepid group of 33-year-olds where it's like, well, we only have 1 year to live, so fuck it, kind of.
Oh.
So
it's kind of like this. It's kind of like Final Destination, where they're like, what is life? You know?
They're kind of like, fuck it. There's way more to it than that. Like, I don't want to say. It's very good.
Yeah. You don't need to say more than that. Yeah. I just think that concept is very amusing.
Yeah, the soundtrack rules. It's so good. It's in terms of gameplay. So it's a turn-based RPG, but it this is just how it's described. I'm not being original with it, but it's kind of like a Souls-like where it's dynamic. So your moves, they're like quick time events. Like those are like easy to master once you know your moves. But the enemies you can dodge and parry, and like the enemies all have different kind of like timings to the moves. So you have to like learn the timings of the various enemies to figure out how to dodge and parry them in a proper way. So it is a turn-based game, but it's more dynamic than just like you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go, and so on and so forth. And then they're like different like characters that you are, and everyone has like their own little like specialty in terms of like what their play style is. So like that's very fun. And it's not like it's distilled as like that's your fighter, that's your mage, that's your rogue. It's like this person uses like a rapier and they have different stances and that informs your battle style. This person uses fucking tarot cards to like do all kinds of wild shit with. Like this person,
just like the Now You See Me crew.
Exactly. And it's like this person's just the face roll character and make number go up, and that's cool. And it's like very like interesting design choices that are made. It's got a good voice cast. What's his face is in it?
Daredevil.
Andy Serkis.
Yes.
He's in it.
I was gonna say Charlie Cox is in it too, I believe.
So right. So I'm sorry, Charlie Cox is in it. Andy Serkis is in it, and then the main voice actor from Final Fantasy 16 was really good.
Right, and Shadowheart's in it, right? From
Shadowheart
Baldur's Gate.
also in it.
Yeah.
Jennifer English.
Sure. But it's like very well put together. It's very fun. The just like character designs like for like all the enemies you fight, it's very interesting. It has like a grittier feel to it. Like it kind of feels like Elden Ring in that way in terms of like the enemies. It's like that guy's got like way too many hands. That guy's got a big face. That guy's really tall. So it's just like it pulls from like a lot of different genres and styles to make like a really compelling game. It's very fun. It's very good. If you play on PC, the game like yells at you to play with a controller because it was like designed to be playing a controller with all like the parry and dodge stuff, right? So I am playing it on PC, but it's
with mouse and
very,
keyboard.
very fun. I know with the controller.
Cool.
But it's very fun. I would recommend it. It's like if you like RPGs, you'll like this. I think it's like a very approachable game and it's like very fun. And like Diggins said, it has like a very unique conceit, and the game just opens up like fantastically, and it's got a ton of bops. So it's great. It's really good. Not sure what I'm gonna recommend next week because I just keep playing this fucking game. But I love it so much. So what are you gonna do?
Can you fall in love with them and make them go on dates with you, like in Baldur's Gate?
I don't. So I'm not that far in. I don't know yet. Maybe.
Interesting.
You mostly play.
There's not like a player character, right? You're just controlling a party of characters that already exist.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
When you go to camp, you are one guy who's like I would say he is the main character because you play as him through the intro. Whenever you go to camp, you're him interacting with the other characters. But like,
so the modders will have something to work with.
Correct. Yeah. No, they're all pretty main. Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, I don't know if there's any romancing. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I like this kind of choices, but
I'll delete that right off of my list.
There's no time for love, Dr. Jones.
That's true.
We have very little time for love. Yeah.
All right. So that's me. Diggins, what about you?
I watched a little movie this week. You guys familiar with a director by the name of Catherine Bigelow?
You know,
of course. She made, I mean, well, you might, TJ, I don't think you're unfamiliar with her work. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
She did Point Break.
Okay.
She did like, Zero Dark 30 was her.
She used to be married to James Cameron.
Yeah, so it was interesting when she beat him for Best Picture.
Yeah, with The Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
But this is before they divorced because James Cameron also wrote this movie. Well, James Cameron wrote it. Catherine Bigelow directed it. It was a huge flop at the time. Ruined her career for like a decade. And the people of 1995 don't know what they're talking about because this movie whips. I'm, of course, talking about the seminal cyberpunk classic, Strange Days.
Oh, okay.
This is a movie starring Ralph Fiennes as like a grimy cyberpunk drug dealer. It's the drug in question is like, there's this technology. It's like 1999 LA, but there's this technology that lets you view other people's memories.
Oh, cool.
Like if they're recording like their brain while they do stuff, you can then like watch it later and experience it as them.
What's it called? Drug. Does it have a name? Like one word?
Well,
that's cool.
There's different things people call it. The like device that you use is called Squid.
There we go. Yeah. Got Squid, man. I love that.
I forget they call like when you do that, it's like memory head or something stupid. It's makes more sense than that. I can't remember exactly what it is. Anyway, so yeah, he's also American, which I don't think I've ever heard him do an American accent before. Yeah. It's pretty good, but he does that nasally thing that a lot of British people do. Angela Bassett also in it as his like bodyguard friend. But essentially he sees one of these memory chips that because he's like a dealer, so he just gets a bunch of them from different places. He sees one with like a really awful murder on it. And so he ends up trying to like figure out what happened. Because it's someone he knows who got murdered. And it just ends up, like any noir or cyberpunk does, it ends up unraveling this whole like conspiracy, this little thread that he pulls on. It's really fun. It's like classic cyberpunk stuff. It takes place in a version of LA that's like under a police state and constantly on fire. So the LA of today.
I was going to say, yeah. That's what it is.
It is actually alarming how much the things that it's about are like extremely relevant today, down to one part that is like in hindsight really funny, but like really funny in a morbid, depressing way. But I mean, the reason for that is it's partially inspired by the Rodney King riots and like that incident. So that's why it has a lot of resonance today. It's because none of that's changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I really liked it. It's very rarely streaming because it was a huge financial bomb at the time, but it's on the Criterion channel right now. So if you want to watch it, why not go give that a little look-see?
Interesting.
What about you, Nando? Do you have anything to rec?
No, I've got plenty of things. One thing really, but before that, I just want to say I looked up the cast for this and like stuff. So I was like, who? You said James Cameron wrote it. Captain Bigelow directed it. There was another writer on this named Jay Cox, which I love. But this guy wrote.
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say this guy wrote Strange Days. Took a couple of years off. Gangs of New York. To be called D. Lovely. Don't know what that is. Silence, and then A Complete Unknown. So he's really all over the place.
Off.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is the cast is a real who's who of that guys.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Sizemore, Michael Wincott, Juliette Lewis plays like his ex-girlfriend. Vincent D'Onofrio plays a small role, which is cool. Just a lot of guys who aren't super famous, but you see them and you're like, it's that guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. That's great. Good for them.
Yeah. Nando, rec?
So my rec. So your movie was called, what was yours called?
Strange Days.
Strange Days. That's so funny. Because I watched
Normal Nights.
No, so it's my movie isn't the same, but for a second I was like, is mine called that too? Which it can't be. No, it wasn't. Okay, I just wanted to double check because I don't think Strange Days is a particularly good title for a movie. Just the same way,
I don't. Not indicative at all.
The same way, I don't think Freaky Tales is a particularly good title for a movie, which is a movie that came out last year, and I finally watched. Have either of you guys seen anything for this movie?
I've never heard of this movie before.
Because the title's so bad. There was a very brief ad campaign that was very confusing because the movie is confusing. I can see it being hard to market generally, but all you really need to know is it's kind of going for like Pulp Fiction, but instead of Pulp Fiction being the like kind of thing they're parodying, it's kind of like a more something closer to like a crazy 80s movie, but not like the kind of Kung Fury, like, oh, everybody's got neon and stuff. More, it's so hard to explain because it's a movie that like you could watch 20 minutes of it and be like, this is just a regular movie. But then you watch a different 20 minutes and you're like, this movie's crazy and insane. I think it's a hard movie to market. And that's why I'm assuming bombed. I don't think it made a lot of money. It had some stars though. This is had Pedro Pascal is not the main character, but I would say he was in the main guy in the trailers. Jay Ellis, I would say, is one of the main characters. Ironheart is in there, Dominique Thorne, and then Ben Mendelsohn is in there in a very fun role.
Director Orson Krennic himself?
Director Orson Krennic, that's right. Orson Krennic, the guy from Secret Invasion that we all love, whatever his name was in that, Squam or something, I don't remember. But, he was in there. And yeah, it's a cool movie. It's got a very punk vibe. And it's got a little bit of kind of a like paranormal thing, but that's not really a part of it. I will say the thing that I needed to kind of be sold on is it does come together. And it's pretty cool. So I don't want to go into too much about it because I don't want to spoil it. But it's by the directors that made Captain Marvel, which I think is kind of funny because it's so much better than Captain Marvel. But they could do other stuff too. And maybe that explains why Ben Mendelsohn's in it because he was in Captain Marvel as well. But yeah, I don't want to say too much, but if you're in the mood, you got a little bit of time to kill, just watch that and then go, wow, that was pretty crazy. And it gets a vaudeville movie at this point. The only other thing I watched is I started watching the show South Side again, mostly because I've heard people talking about the Pope being from the South Side of Chicago, which I don't even know if that's true. But it's like I don't know if it's the same South Side as this, but South Side was just a very fun little show that was about repo men in the South Side of Chicago being kind of idiots and some idiot cops, and it's just a really funny show, and I like that a lot. Got a lot of enjoyment about that, and I finished the Saved by the Bell reboot. I know I said this last time. I said season 1 was good, season 2 is bad. That's not correct. Season 1 is good. season 2 starts kind of weird, but the end of season 2 is amazing. And like, it's one of those things where retroactively the whole thing is like, oh, this was worth it. So I think that show was really good. And since I mentioned it on the pod the other day, a lot of people were like, yeah, watch that too. It's weird that it was as good as it was and it got no play, but we get too many like legacy sequels and things like that, reboots these days. I feel like for one,
any legacy sequel, a person is fully justified in being like, that's not going to be good. I don't care.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's funny because what I noticed about it, having gone like fully through it, is eventually a character who's kind of silly just turns into one of those, I don't even know what you call it, but a Jenna Maroney Titus type character who is just like, you know, kind of insane in a way that like a 30 Rock character tends to be, that is very, what's the word? How do you describe it? High strung. And those characters are great. So I think that makes the show really good. She's definitely the best part. But yeah, so that's the only other thing I watched. And what are we doing next week, fellas? I don't know if we just
Mission Impossible or Lilo and Stitch.
Perhaps, yeah, one of those. And if not those, something else, maybe. Do we have anything to plug, DJ?
Nope.
Diggins?
Sorry.
No, I had to wait for it to be asked. I can't just say it.
Yeah, like a vampire. You have to be invited to do the plug without that. Oh,
exactly.
Wait a second. Are you a vampire?
But I don't. What about you, Nando?
Nothing new besides videos. I'm putting up videos about like the trailers for Superman and Ironheart. Speaking of Ironheart. I'll probably have something about this movie too, because I do want to make one. And then I'm racing to finish my who should Steven Yeun play in the Marvel Universe before they cast him as the character that he shouldn't be in the next Spider-Man movie. But you know, if that
Spider-Man?
doesn't get out, I mean, he should definitely be Spider-Man. That would be fun because he's invincible, and Invincible's kind of like Spider-Man. But yeah, so if that changes and if he does get cast, then the video will be about how that was a bad idea and here are the guys he should have been. But anyway, that video will come out eventually. So if you interested in that, that'll be on Nebula soon. Until next week, I've been at Nando for Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day on this stuff.
I'm at C Diggins exclusively on Bluesky.
Nice.
Bye everybody. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.